We're live.
We're live. Hello, everybody.
Been a long time. Now I'm gonna let Kerenszharris start with the disclaimer.
Okay.
That's her thing. So go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I need to see it. You got to share your screen with me.
Is it sharing?
Okay, there it is.
Have you got it? Is it there?
Oh, okay, there it is. In accordance to the copyright. Oh,
Is
it
it
keeps
there
going down.
or is it gone? Okay,
Okay, it's
right,
there.
that's it. Sorry. That's my fault.
Okay. I need it. Keep yourself in the center. All right, thank you. In accordance to the Copyright Act of the United States of America, Sections 106, 106A, 107, and the others, fair use. I need it again, Paint and Truth. You took it away.
Sorry.
We have a right to use, and it's still not there. We have a right to use the videos, pictures, materials, and the like, etc. For, I'm waiting for you to,
This is getting
next one.
Oh, sorry. This is silly.
No problem.
Yep.
Or criticism, comments, keeps going away.
I don't know what's wrong with it. I'm not doing anything.
Okay, oh wow.
Is it back?
Okay, yeah. For criticism, comments, new reportings, teaching, scholarships, and research. This information is now a matter of public records in accordance to the United States of America Freedom of Information Act. I do that really quick.
Yeah, before it disappears again. That's my luck. But yeah, this live today is really to just discuss in general what we feel that who we feel possible suspects are. It is, I want to say, it is opinions. This is not facts, but it's something I think we should discuss, as we all kind of have opinions. We all have seen the footage. We all have seen the suspicious actions of the beverage manager, the security guard. If you've seen my video, you know what I'm talking about. But we all have a pretty good idea of who we feel could be a possible suspect. You guys know who mine are. You should by now. And I've always felt that there's some connection between party guests and employees. The only issue that we have is the fact that I don't feel it's all the party guests. People I've been sifting through and said thousands of people have killed Kanika. And no, okay, we need to really narrow it down and understand that the truth is what is going to get justice. We can't just make things up for content. It's about finding justice for Kanika. And if that's not what you want, I suggest you don't put that on your videos, because people like me get irritated by it. Okay, so if you're justice for Kanika, stick to that, have passion for it, and the truth will surface. It's not, another thing is, you're not going to get justice in 6 months, a year, 2 years. I've seen cases take 20 years, but it's a stepping stone to getting justice, which at the end will change people's lives, because it will change the perception of how we live, in a way, especially when it comes to police corruption and police brutality that we know is a big issue right now. It could change so much. So please think about what you say, how you present yourself, and how people, if you want people to trust what you say, believe what you say, and have intentions behind helping justice for Kanika from what you've given, what wisdom you may have given them. That is the most important thing. It's not about, I mean, you can argue if you want on YouTube, you can argue about your lives if you want. It's not going to find justice. It really isn't. And I'm not even someone who will go onto someone's page and thumbs them down or write a comment that, unless it's about Kanika, I just won't watch. So I would advise people, if you don't like someone, it's a simple thing, Don't watch them. That is it. I could have got into many arguments on YouTube. I could have got into many. I didn't entertain it. No one even knew. No one even knows who has tried to get me to respond. I don't, because it's not going to find justice, and it's not the cause that I want to. It's not the way I want to present myself, and it's not going to create trust in me, create trust in my team, or create trust in the FBI, the police, to take this case back on. It's not going to gain that. So that's just me. We're going to start off talking, like I said, about the suspects. I'm going to let Kerenszharris give her opinion on that, because I know she's got a good opinion on the employees, and I agree with her. I do agree with her, but she analyzes things and makes you understand it very well. So I'm going to let you start, Karen, with your opinion.
I would go straight for a hotel and hotel management and staff with police officers, and it is no way around it. It simply is no way around it. It would be different if a third-party company monitored the hotel location, but that's not the way it is. It was on-site monitoring. Furthermore, they all had remote access to databases and resources at that facility. How do I know that? Because the database is static. And one of the things that static databases allow you to do is have remote access. So it goes back to the hotel. The thing where the police messed up at was when they did not issue a warrant to acquire the entire IP surveillance unit. They didn't do that. And there's nowhere around it. It's just nowhere around it. It is what it is. It goes back to the hotel, it goes back to the police department. Simple.
I agree. I mean, if you've seen my video I put out today, which is why I put it out before we had this discussion.
Yes.
It shows that, because before I was looking at this and thinking, this isn't right. There's something weird about this. This whole situation, as you know, the manager walking in, knowing where exactly to go and leaving, and the police being on the roof of the dock area. That roof goes right down to you could walk on that roof right down to the lobby area. But he knew they were on the roof at the dock area. Why did they know to be there? Like, that's what gets me. And then he knew to go there. So what I do is, when I find an issue...
Can I piggyback really quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're on the roof. Not only does it entail freezer, but we got to think about other electronics. I'm one of my concentrations when I was getting my undergrad degree was networks, layout. I had to know how to lay out a network, local area, wide area, and things like that. So you're always looking at entry, exit points. You have to know ceiling. You have to know, do you have dead zones? You have to know all of that. So if they're up there, I'm thinking, okay, what electronics are up there? I also would have loved to know every access point in the hotel. Where are the access points at in the hotel that leads back to the internet?
Yeah, why wasn't that in the police report really quick? Like, why wouldn't they have that? Like, the access, like, sorry, I'm just curious, like, we know that they were on the roof. There's reasons why they were up there, which is bizarre. If you're looking for someone, that means they knew what they had an idea. But why wasn't any of the access points of the hotel, like all of them, listed in the police report? Because I don't know.
It was supposed to be in there. It was supposed to be in there. It was supposed to be in there.
I mean, I wouldn't know, but I feel like it's a dead girl that seems important.
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes back to...
Continue. This is really interesting. I didn't know this.
Right, and it goes back to, I didn't see any drawings. Usually when you're showing up to a site or location from a technological perspective, even before forensics, like we know it today, computer forensics as we know it today, you draw out diagrams. Okay, they took pictures. You took your pictures, but you still should have drawn something out, drawn a picture of what looks like. All of this should be included in the documents, in the documentation. I don't see any of that. And the first thing, like I said, I was looking for was if they issued a warrant to the Crown Plaza Hotel. I don't see a warrant for anything.
And
don't ever assume.
Standard, right?
Don't ever assume. Do not ever assume. This is the number one thing that one of my college professors years ago, who have been doing this forever in the state of New York, got everybody in the class on. You always, the most important thing is the warrant. Because once you get the warrant, you have the right to go in and get everything. But you want the warrant to be inclusive. You want to include the entire state of Illinois and the neighboring states next door, if it goes that far when you're dealing with forensics. If you have to go through databases, if you have to go through networks, you want all of that. Internet service providers. I didn't see that for the hotel. I saw it for Facebook, and I saw it for, you know, there was on Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, so hey.
Yeah, I think there was more videos than what we just saw too. Like, I mean, they were both using it. Yeah, they were both using each other's phones, and the fact that we had just this information this quick, it's weird. But I'm just really weirded out that I didn't know until watching the videos. That's why I was like, I want to talk about this. That the police were on the roof of a hotel, and that just seems kind of weird to me in a way. Like, it almost seemed like okay, this is how it feels to me as just a regular everyday citizen. That seems abnormal. She wasn't found on the roof. There's nothing really connecting her from an outsider's vision of why you would be up there, right? I don't know anything about forensics computers and surveillance, you know what I mean? Beyond that, like, I just find it really bizarre that they went through all this effort, you would think, you know, but then you see the police report and it's shoddy. We know there's a lot of things missing. So many things were done wrong. I mean, you don't even get a warrant to preserve protection of certain things. And then other things you go and do it for Facebook. But, you know, that bothers me. Like, why would they go up there? I mean, the only other case that I've heard of someone on a roof was Eliza Lamb. And that shit is, excuse my language, that stuff is just as shady to me, you know? But what's similar in both of their cases is surveillance footage.
Right. And see, let me piggyback off that.
I would have never known that had you not said that, Karen. That's amazing. Like, please, go ahead.
Let me piggyback off that, because I would like to say this is taboo, but it isn't.
Go ahead.
It seems as though when surveillance footage is available, and sometimes when I have to show up to court, if I'm working with an attorney or whatever, it seems as though surveillance footage is always on the premises and video footage was recorded, but police officers come in all the time like, we don't have it.
It didn't work. We didn't have it.
It's mysteriously missing, and I'm not going for that. I don't believe that. Somebody did something to something, and it is what it is.
I mean, how many comedians even have jokes about that? Like Dave Chappelle had that, like, you know, sprinkle a little bit of crack on him and we'll leave. Like, that's because that's true in our society. That's, you know what I mean? Go ahead, Painting. I'm sorry, I cut you off real quick. Go ahead.
No, you're right. They're desensitized to it because it's become normal. It's become something that you just do. So you're desensitized to it.
Okay,
and then
so
they tell the jury. And then they tell the jury, sorry, Margot. Then they tell the jury, oh, our word is the testimony. We don't have any DNA evidence. We don't have anything. We don't have the video footage that was available. You just have to take our word as the evidence. No, nobody's going to sit up there and do that. No.
And that's the important thing, to know your rights, because otherwise you will sit there because you don't know. And that is one of the most important things that I think you could have as power when trying to fight these types of cases. But
Let me ask you guys
if we're
this
getting
real
back
quick.
to what we were saying is, like you're saying, it's too much of a coincidence.
Yeah.
On that, now you
That's what I
can
was
see
gonna
the
say.
roof. It's too much of a coincidence that they could have walked all over that roof. He states in the statement that they were on the roof at the dock area, which is at the bottom left.
Okay, let me ask you this, because both of y'all, I want to know. We both think that there was a camera in that employee loading dock entrance exit area. And they mentioned Karen has audio on one of her videos. I'll post the link in the chat in a minute if you haven't seen it or heard it. But this gave my whole family chills when I played this loud. I put this on the Bluetooth speaker in my house where you can clearly hear, right, one of the officers saying something about a camera and a fire extinguisher. And now to know that they're on the roof in that area, I mean, could there have been a way where that camera was somehow connected cably or whatever to that roof area? And they've like, that's one of the ways that they had to access and remove it. I mean, I would have never known about this stuff. I'm a tattooer. I would have never, if I had not cared about this case and got involved, and that's why it's so important y'all are talking about, none of this shit added up to me. Like I would have never put two and two to, you know what I mean? Like it's
because he specifically states, keep in mind, I need people to keep this in mind, and let me piggyback really quick, Margot, that Miss Teresa then was towards the front.
Yep.
He specifically tells them, bypass the front, come to the back by the dock. But we can discuss the cameras, and they're out there talking about cameras, and they're also talking about a fire portable.
And it's clear. When you listen to it, it is clear as day. You could hear what they're saying clearly. And that is
that's shady right there. How come you don't want to go through the front? Her mama been waiting there all day long. How come you don't want to go through the front? Walk your behind right on through the front. What you trying to slide to the back for?
They're hiding. This is what I'm saying. Actions speak louder than words. And this is another reason for why the dock area is as important as it is. And I keep saying how important this dock area is. Everyone is looking at the surveillance, which is important. I'm not saying it's not, but they are bypassing the most important places that
what do we don't have
to solve this case.
What do we not have? Like that's basically because a lot of the other testimony, if you and evidence, if you collect it all together, there's a reason why you're nailing this, PT. It's because it's basically what do we not have? And like Tay even
we don't
said
have the electronics. If I can piggyback really quick, Margot, if you ask
me, she goes not to have a camera. Go ahead. It's just like she was basically saying not to have a camera at a busy time, like in that area. That's crazy. Why would they not have a camera back there where people go in and out and access an area, a kitchen?
In all the staff places, in all those places where the staff are, the kitchens, where their lockers are, where the lobby is, where the entrance is for the security, the dock area, where the entrance is for the security at the dock, and then the employee car park.
It's a parking
lot, as you call it.
Go ahead.
All of it is employee areas. Right. So what are they doing that they don't want us to know about? Anyway, if those cameras are not working, you're doing something we're not supposed to know about. Or you turned them off because something happened when she went missing. It's one of the two.
And that takes me back to remote access. You can remotely disable those cameras from anywhere if you have access to them.
Exactly.
And the hotel staff had access. If you're a security guard, you have access. If you're management, you have access. Simple. That right there was simple to me. I said, if I have to go through and say,
the simplest?
Access, but it's not in the police report though. The police did not retrieve any of their electronic devices. Excuse me. If I'm in the beginning and I'm not declaring it an accident, let's go to that too. If I'm not declaring it an accident at the beginning, I'm taking all the electronics out. Nothing's going to be left. Nothing.
I think you nailed it on the head though.
Isn't it a surveillance system? That's what you're supposed to do. That is one of the reasons things I was most shocked about.
Why wouldn't they have a camera?
I need everything. I need your printers too. I need it all because all of that is electronics. You can retrieve evidence out of all of that. Give me your printers. I'm taking everything. I'm getting the warrant for everything. I'm taking all of it.
Even not even going that far, but just this. Yeah, like, okay.
All of it.
PT even said, y'all said it. Like, this is an area, right, where there's currently construction. So not only are there hotel employees entering and exiting that area 24/7 because it's a hotel, right? Now you have construction, people that don't work for the hotel, people who would like, who are hired as daily, workers and stuff like that, who would steal. Like, you're not going to have a camera there? Are you kidding me? Like for me, like, yeah, it's great, all the camera shots that we do have, but what about the places she was at that we don't? Her killer could have walked in there with a knife in his hand, an a Jason mask.
Exactly.
We'd never know. Like you have no clue. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. And it's crazy that they can close a case saying that, knowing good and goddamn well, like, even if there's not a camera there, there's cameras in the parking lots and in areas that would get that footage. They're like, people forget, like, it's a small town, right? But it's even in small towns, when you go to an airport, there's tons of businesses. So there would have even been a fast food place,
right?
Or a parking garage, especially because parking garages not only get inside of the parking garage, but all external areas. Right. There would have been a shot of what happened there. And every time you see First 48, what do you see the cops do? Walk the block and check who, like, this is like child's play. It's embarrassing. Like, that's why I ride so hard for Teresa no matter what. Because, like, that shit's embarrassing to me.
But even when you talk about that, that's all the little things that we need to take into account. I mean, and this is where I was getting at with the police officers being on the roof, because if one of them was switching that freezer back on to make it look like it was turned on,
dude, that video gave me
that means they have a link to an employee. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's them little things that, because even that statement where the officer said, oh, the security officer came out, he said something, I didn't hear what he said, and then the manager was flagging me back in to look at Kanika's body. That statement, if you have it, read it. Read that piece. It looks like a script. The way it's written, it's like it's made up. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, is that officer the one? Because if you just read it, read a different statement and then read that statement. If I can find it, I will put it up and I will talk about it with you, and I'll make a video and I will show you when you read it.
Do it. Make a video.
The narrative is just, it's like a script. I can't explain it, but when I'll do a video. So, but it's not, to me, that is the officer that we need, this Walsh officer, whoever he is. Okay.
Is it Walsh?
I don't trust him.
Was it the detective?
Here's the thing, though, too. Okay, think about this, though. Okay, just as having this conversation.
Just a minute. Just a minute, Margot. Can I ask it? Was it the detective? Was that the detective, or was it an actual officer?
Detective.
It was. It said Officer Walsh. So.
Oh, okay. So
I
it was
don't
the
know.
actual officer. Okay.
I thought it said detective. My bad. Like.
Okay.
I'll make a video because I remember hearing about. My thing is, though, like, when you said, like, you get a weird feeling, like it seems like a script. I don't like. That's your gut, number one, but it's also riding off of all the information that you know otherwise about this stuff. That's like, nah, it doesn't sound right. Like, now that I know that, like, this was up here, y'all did this, like, blah, blah, blah. No, yeah, it's totally, like, come on. It's shady.
Yeah. It was, especially when they said come by the dock, so we can discuss the camera.
Avoid Teresa 100%.
That's what I'm saying. They knew what they was doing. There was a plan. They had previously spoken about this, and they had previously plotted, in my opinion, what they were going to do about it. Because even the fact, this is why I brought up the Caddyshack so much, because you need to understand the status of the man that has basically, the family that's created this restaurant in the Crown Plaza, where a girl was found dead in a freezer for no apparent reason. It's not an accident. You need to understand how that relates. It is,
and they went ahead with the business anyway, and they went ahead and put it there anyway. I would have said no.
Like, they didn't. This is why I posted they had 2 dates where they said it was going to open. They didn't even acknowledge why they didn't open then. They just said, oh, we're opening on a different date. They didn't even say that they had tried to open it previously. It was almost as if that was the first date when it was the second date. They knew what happened and they didn't care.
Well,
why?
Because they're not going to lose
money and business.
Yeah, they're not going to.
That's what they're about.
that Kanika like had to be an accident. Like people saw like her assault was seen on camera through remote access. We know that now. And from that moment on, the hotel went into recovery damage mode to lessen their liability and get a story together as quick as possible. And the fact that police and hotel staff are more than likely, just with evidence, very well culpable in her death. Like, but they have every reason in the world to make sure that we forget about this shit. Excuse my language.
They're the reason why it's covered up. They're the reason. Even if they had like, there's so much negligence in place. It's crazy.
Can I piggyback off that? It's the fact that when the one officer was going through the video footage and he discovered that the cameras in the kitchen were motion censored cameras, he requested that video footage from them again. I wouldn't have asked you for no video footage. I would have said at that time, you didn't get that. If you didn't get the surveillance unit the first time, that surely was good enough reason to get a warrant and to go in and get that surveillance unit the second time. Still didn't do it.
There was no, it's funny because they're happy to get people's phones. They didn't even get everybody's phone, but they got some, and but they didn't get the surveillance.
I would have got those more important. Phones. Give me the manager phone. Give me the manager phone because I want to know when y'all logging into the IP surveillance system and when y'all logging out. I want to know who had remote access, who's logging in, who's logging out, and at what time that they're doing.
The fact that they had remote access and we see them walking around on their phones a lot of the time, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't use their phones, but if you see them a lot of the time, you know.
You see the security guard at the front desk looking at video footage. It's clear as day.
Real quick. Robert Kennedy says, hello, ladies. Let's not forget the videos say redacted attached to them. I personally think that it was an officer who was involved. Rosemont couldn't stand to lose one of its greatest assets. Dude, that's crazy. I feel the same. It feels like it actually feels creepy to see it.
It does. It gives you the creeps. It gives you
that's heavy.
How do you trust, I mean, when we look at the whole of Chicago and we see how they are treated and you see how they've dealt with other cases, you know?
Right.
It's not a shock, but it is a shock. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not shocked that it's in Chicago because we know what they do.
Corruption.
But I didn't think it would be this obvious. I've never seen a case so obviously corrupt. And when I one of the biggest issues I have with the officers, the police, all of the authorities that were involved is the fact that her mother saw more pictures in the media of her daughter. Should it have got to that? I think that's disgusting. Why didn't you want to show her? Why didn't you want to show her pictures of her daughter? But you're happy to show the world. Like, I don't understand. I know that they had to fight to get them pictures, them images, but you could physically show her privately with no one else seeing. And you didn't choose to do that. I'm just thinking if it was me.
Bizarre.
You know, and my daughter was there and I saw them images all over the internet. Yeah, we got to see them. Yeah, we get to analyze them. Yeah, we get to just try and work out and try and see if we can understand what has happened. But as the mother, should it have got to that? I think that's disgusting of the police. It just, to me, it says, we didn't want to show you the pictures that made it look like there was some type of foul play. We just showed you the pictures of her, the fact that she was dead in a freezer. That's what I bet they showed her. I can guarantee you they didn't show none of the fact that she had a cut on her foot. She probably had to read that from the autopsy. Why is there an activist with more information than her mother?
That part.
Then there's a connection to the police officers. They didn't want to show her the images, but he gets to see more than what she saw. And you're telling me there's not a connection?
And how does that feel like as a mother? Like even that part, like that's got to feel.
I don't
really
understand. How do you feel? How would you feel if that was your child and she was treated like that? And the police basically just didn't care. People go on at Teresa as a mother and say she didn't show emotion. She didn't do what she was supposed to do as a mother whose daughter has been murdered, possibly murdered. But she's desensitized to death.
Right. Let me
it's
say
almost like she's planned in her head how she's going to feel because she knows it happens.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like that's what it is.
Hold on for a moment. Somebody thinks that this is an American psyop. No, this is not an American psyop. This case is being litigated in court. There's no court in America that's going to let you litigate a case and it be a psyop. That's not happening.
I'm not dealing with psyops today. I'm not dealing with it. And if you want to talk about psyops, go to a channel where they talk about psyops. Don't come here. Do not come to my channel with that. Please don't. Please don't. Because the thing is, I can shut you down in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'll just say as part of my group, like
that quickly. You cannot edit the surveillance that quickly to that quality in that space of time. You cannot. I'm telling you. When people talk about the fact that someone else played Kanika and walked in that hotel and played Kanika, I don't believe that. But it's more believable than the amount of surveillance being what you're saying. It's a psyop. I don't believe it's edited. It is edited, but it's edited in a way of it being chopped. It's edited in a way of frames being taken out, of her body being completely blurred out so you cannot see her. That's how it's been edited.
That's a clear edit.
No one has been put into that, and there's no psyop. It's too much. Trust me. There's no. I don't want to hear psyop. I'm sorry that I got angry, but I'm talking about. I just spoke about her mother, and you're coming to me with psyop.
Yeah.
Now let me piggyback off that right here, and even if you did not go to school for technology, you can see some clear edits. Anytime you see a frame that stands still for any length of time, that's a clear edit. Anytime you see lights that change drastically, that's a clear edit. There's so many clear edits in here from a forensic standpoint that can be proven, but we already know it's edited. How do I know it's edited? Can anybody get me a bit-by-bit copy from the original IP surveillance unit with the algorithms that match bit by bit? No, you cannot. And you know why you cannot? Because it's been edited. And you know why they didn't do that? Because they didn't want anyone to prove in court that it's been edited. That's how you do in court over here. This is not a psyop. This is a real case. It's currently being litigated in the court of law.
Yeah, period. And like, just really quick, like, because I think what you guys were actually talking about was really important before that. But as someone who like lives a weird, interesting life and is pretty well versed in certain subjects, I do believe that certain psyops are real, but I think people really just use that word so loosely and don't actually really understand what it means. And it just kind of shows your maturity level a little bit. So it's just kind of borderline sad and embarrassing. But as someone who does know about it, Kerenszharris is immediately right. Beyond just the Harry Potter type shit some of y'all come up with, like, a psyop isn't litigated in a United States court of law, period. You're not going to know about it. That's the whole point of it being a psyop. So some of y'all, like, I think just take naps and say you're woke, or I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't understand the psyop. I've understood it. To me, what it is people that say it's a psyop and it's fake. It's just a way for you to keep making up shit. Like, you're gonna keep making up stuff because it's not real. If something is not real, you can keep making up stuff because you cannot prove it. And at the moment, a lot of people are believing things that cannot be proven, but saying this is what happened, and you're saying it, and I'm like, and I'm proving it wrong in my head. My ego doesn't shut me down to the point where I have to say something to you. I know I'm for justice, so I move on and put my energy into that. I'm not going to entertain no psyop. I'm sorry. I'm not.
But you know what I think is really, like, we were talking about the
Where's
roof.
the bit by bit copy too? I want the bit by bit copy. I want a bit by bit copy. You know why I want a bit by bit copy of the original hard drive? So I can restore it back to a place in time and tell people what was edited, what was going on, what was missed. But see, they didn't do that. That's what we like to do.
Raw files.
We like to come in and restore the hard drives.
Raw files is another issue that I have when, if you're going to screenshot an image, it's no longer a raw file. It's not a raw file. Once you screenshot it, that is a screenshot of your screen. Everybody's screenshot, depending on the quality of their system, their screenshot will be different. Your screenshots are all going to be completely different because you've got different systems, different qualities, different everything. So screenshots, be careful when you use a screenshot. And I'm not saying you can't use a screenshot, but what I'm saying is there's only certain things you cannot extract raw data from a screenshot like that. You can't.
You know what I'm interested in too? Like, cause I'm so glad that like you, Kerenszharris, and then also Justin saying in the chat, Mike Mecca, dude, he was one of the first people I like started following on YouTube when it came to Kanika. Like some of the crazy and you and I've talked about this like off live or whatever, like some of the crazy stuff like that wasn't in my algorithm at first, but he was one of the first people that really made sense to me and proved that like those parts in time are totally edited. Like there's skips. I mean, that.
But you know when you gotta go, but when you go to court, when you go to court, what you have to use is a forensic tool. You have to. It's a reason why there are forensic tools because this is an exact science that's based off math. Forensics is an exact science. And this is what I say for people who don't believe in science. If you don't believe in science, then I would like to see you go up to a 2-story building and jump down if you don't believe in science, because that deals with science too. And you can see what happens. This forensics is an exact science.
Exactly.
This stuff has to be proven in court. We can't go off a la-di-da, tra-la-fa, la-la-la. No, this is science.
I couldn't, but like, the first time I felt like when I saw one of those videos, like I had like goosebumps. Like it was crazy. Like it was actually really sad to watch because it reminded me a lot of Kendrick Johnson, you know, that like
and it does.
What happened to him? Yeah, what happened to him? Like and also like people forget maybe because that case didn't reach them or whatever. But his parents are still fighting that. Like his body just got like this doesn't happen overnight. What happens is, and what helps that happen is what we're doing right now. So everybody in the chat, everybody who's positive and brings awareness and questions her case is helping, you know, and you got to do that because in life we're all connected, and something like this could touch someone that you love or something similar in many different ways. So when you have an opportunity to do the right thing in any like way that you can, you should just do it. Come on, because it's so like we sit here and talk about this evidence and it's so painfully obvious that this hotel put people over, like put profits over people and did not care.
It's supposed to be people over profits, profits. And this right here was about profit. Look at this right here. Look at this right here. Look at this nastiness right here that she's showing. Look at this. Look at this.
Exactly.
Right. And I don't see why the health department didn't come in and shut them down for black mold anyway.
Yeah, that's weird. When you see that picture,
shut them down for black mold anyway. I don't see why the health department didn't come in and investigate anyway. Come in and do their own investigation. It's beyond me.
I mean, I'm gonna put up a video where I found the FBI. What you need? What is it that you need to see in a situation for the FBI to get involved? And there's many things that were mentioned, and they should have got involved with this case. Okay, I've read the list. I've read what it takes for them to take up this case, and they should have taken up this case.
Before you go there, can I bring up something that Doughboy is saying? He said, remember, Kanika was first found in the basement, and they switched it up and say they found her on the first floor. Yeah, they switched up a lot of stuff, just like they tried to say, oh, we wasn't really doing this as an accident. Yes, they were.
Suicide.
They were going to
said it was
rule
a
it
suicide.
accidental. Yeah, at first that's what they were
You
called.
remember
At
that from
first,
the
that's
beginning,
the very
suicide.
first thing that they said. They thought it was suicide, and then when they couldn't go suicide, they switched it to something else.
That is like the biggest, like, that's one of the biggest red flags I've ever seen in my entire life. That's what grabbed me.
There's many.
What?
There's so many red flags. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, the first thing that first red flag is the fact that they said that they were looking for Kanika, but when you look at the surveillance, no one's looking for Kanika, and I'm talking about the employees. They was like, oh, we're going to look for. I don't see them looking. I don't see one employee looking until the police come. So they lied. So why don't they say, well, why did you say you was, like, just little things like you're not going to look for her if you know where she is.
Oh, and you know it's crazy.
Do you understand what I mean? Because you got the video. You looking on the video. You looking at the cameras in real time.
Well, that's what I was going to say. PT, say this too, because that security guard that we see at the front desk, there's that lady, and then the older, heavier set white guy or whatever, the beverage manager, I think. And then there's that one security kid looking dude. You know who I'm talking about. And he's just sitting there and hanging out, staring at his phone, looking nervous and weird as hell. I mean, like,
because he's looking at video footage in real time. He was this stuff was being monitored in real time.
I showed you on a video on my channel how easy it is to see the footage live on your phone. You can be anywhere you are in the world, okay, to view this footage on your phone.
I've been in a grocery store in front of me, like looking at her house, like on some surveillance like app or whatever. Like, so many people have it, you know.
I show people electronic discovery on the channel. If they go back, I showed you how to track through some databases. But it is.
And then when the cops do look for her, they're going in the most obscure, like, weirdest place, you know, like, you think if you're looking for a party guest, right? Like, one of the first things you would do is just look for, like, the obvious places. Like, okay, what are places near the elevator, near certain doors that she shouldn't access? And you know what I mean? Like, you had cops literally in a room with their flashlights when they could have turned a light on, right?
They could not have told me that story.
Looking under his chair. But if they didn't know where she was, they would have checked absolutely everywhere. They would have shut that place down, okay, once they found her body, okay, because they don't know where the evidence is to support this case.
And Gina Kidd is right.
Was never a crime scene.
Right now, like, she's 100% right. Like, that was an accident from the start. Like,
can I read this? What Gina just wrote? Just like after they found her, they didn't investigate. They just discussed a story, what the story was going to be, and what camera to take down to try to fit the story with little to no investigation. And people need to remember, Mrs. Martin attorneys. That's what he said. They closed the case abruptly.
Yeah.
Yep.
The attorney even said that.
And even I'm
the
just
case
reading
was
it
abruptly
now.
closed. So
Doughboy says that with the paperwork alone, a cover-up can be beyond a doubt be proven, and 100% agree with that. That is the issue I have, especially with the situation where she leaves that room. If you read the statements, they are all different, and people say they're not verbatim, but they should still. If they're not, what's the point in doing it if there's no truth to it? There's truth to those statements. That's why they took those statements.
Yeah,
okay?
Justin
And if you read that part, just that section, if you don't want to read nothing, read that section or a few statements, and they are all completely different. Some say Shamara came in the room by herself. Some say Shamara and Manifa came in the room. Some say that they all left and they didn't come back in. There's two like that, I think. There's at least one, but I think it's two like that, you know? There's different... she had the keys and the phone in the room. Some say she just had the phone in the room. There's so many
back to the police.
You need to read just that section alone. It just it's, you know.
Can I piggyback and go back to the police after this, Pain Truth?
Yeah. Talk to say.
You can clearly see when she gets off the elevator. It is other people. None of those people were questioned. It was other people in the hallway. She was never in that hallway when she got off that elevator alone by herself. There were people coming and going, coming and going. Where are the testimonies or the questions needs from the people that were in the hallway? Where are their statements at? They never got questioned. Don't you think that's a bit bizarre?
Beyond.
That's really bizarre. That's bizarre for real. Because when she gets off that elevator, a few minutes later, you see a lady with a child get off a separate elevator, and they made it look like she was so inebriated till she couldn't get down that hall that quick. So if she was so inebriated to the point where she couldn't get down the hall that quick, that lady and the child saw her in that vicinity. Okay, so
No, and like I want to know what y'all feel about this because Justin said they declared it an accident so that they could disrespect the crime scene. And I feel like that
disrespected it when they walked in there.
100%.
Like,
That's
They
why they
never
shut
had
it down
any-
so quick.
Go ahead, Pain True.
That's why they shut it down so quickly, because they wanted to contaminate the crime scene. They're like, even their own shoes, the fact that they walked in with their own boots on, they should have then put those boots into a bag as evidence. We haven't seen any evidence of that.
The fact that they didn't have on smocks like they should have, nothing to cover their hair, nothing to cover anything. You're bringing DNA to the scene and you're taking DNA from the scene.
What about just letting, like, just everybody even just says, like, where was the yellow tape? Where was, like, why were hotel staff allowed to enter and exit a crime scene to and fro on camera, and they felt like confident enough to like I just sometimes I wonder and try and get in their head, was it something where they felt like this information would never be requested and be out? You know, I'm curious, did they just really never think that the story would get this big? And then once it did, they were just like, well, screw it. Either way, crime scene's contaminated. So no matter, how many mistakes we made, there's nothing they can go through and prove that, well, this was the killer and this is what happened because we've screwed everything up. And they're a small town, and I'm sure they have a lot of practice in that. Like, this seemed like it was so natural for them to butcher a case. Like,
now I got to piggyback and cut back in here real quick because, excuse me, Margot, if you don't mind. Doughboy, I'm going to agree with you 1,000,000% on this right here. Chicago Police Department is capable of forensically processing a hard drive. I will never understand why it was sent to Target Forensic, other than to pay for unknown service. Let me say something real quick. Because at one point, I was going to go to the state of Illinois to understudy and view some of the best computer forensic labs in the United States of America. And they do have some in the state of Illinois. So it's beyond me why they didn't send it to Chicago. I don't know why Rosemont didn't send it to Chicago. And in the statements, they tried to make it seem like Chicago wouldn't help them.
Oh, yeah.
The city of Rosemont tried to make it seem like Chicago would not help them. Okay. I know for a fact the state of Chicago got one of the best computer forensic labs in the world.
They have to. Like, it's a huge.
Oh, they do. They do. They do.
There's tons of money there. Like,
I know
it's so frustrating.
There's too much money there. That's the problem. It takes over their minds. More important than anything else.
Up in that lab, get some training.
That's so funny that you said it like that, because that's like, it's the truth. There's too much money. That's why. That's why this had to be an accident, because there was too much money invested in it already, too much time, too much on the line. Like, and then you have nepotism where everybody in that town who lives there profits off of the cover up of this child's murder. There's not a single person that's not like really involved in this case that doesn't benefit from this being an accident.
I mean, when you even think about Chicago as a whole, we look at the gun crime, we look at the death rate. And then you wonder why they put guns on the streets and everything else. And then some people want to go into organ harvesting. And it's a fact that there has been corruption within organ harvesting in Chicago, in Illinois, you know. And so what do? You make everyone kill each other so you can take their organs, because there's a hell of a lot of bodies that no one claims. If you didn't know that, there's loads of bodies that nobody claims. What do they do with them bodies? You know, when you think about it like that, I don't believe if her organs were taken, it wouldn't have been taken in this freezer. You know, they would have been taken where she got taken to, in the medical examiner's office. That's where her organs would have been taken. It's too dirty in there.
Well, that's a good question.
It is filthy.
If you're going to look
absolutely
at that,
filthy inside the hotel.
They want people to kill each other and they cover it up, because for me, that's where the organ harvesting is. It's more to do with the fact that why they allow them to kill each other is because they profit from that.
True.
Okay.
True.
That's why they allow it. That's why they don't do anything about it.
Prince, I'm curious what you got it. Like Maya says, well, they never looked at it as a homicide. Agreed. I wonder if it was cheaper by sending it to Target, since they looked at it from the start, or not looked at it. I mean, yes, looked at, yeah, it's totally right. I mean, it had to be an accident from the start. That's what I'm curious about. Is it one of those things where it's like, okay, well, it exchanges from this hand to this hand to this hand, you know, that's the better way,
the best way to,
if they want to do a cover up is what I'm saying. Now, if they wanted to do their job, I want you to tell us like what they should have done.
Okay. The best way to do this, if you're going to go to court and you know you're going to be involved in litigation and you're the person that's responsible for collecting evidence from the crime scene, the best way to do this is to take your own equipment in and collect the evidence like you're supposed to. So when you get to court, you can take the witness stand and speak properly on what you should be able to speak to. If I worked for that, let's say I worked for that specific police department and I was part of the technology/forensic team. Well, if I'm going to the crime scene, because right now it's not declared an accident, I'm going to have on my forensic bracelets, because data is extremely fragile. Data is extremely fragile, is easy to alter it. I'm going to have on my shock boots, because data is extremely fragile, is easy to alter it. I'm going to have on all my forensic gear. I'm going to have my forensic equipment. I'm going to have my right blocker. I'm going to go in if there is no warrant. If we don't have a warrant to acquire the original hard drive, well, then I'm going to go in and I'm going to right block the hard drive that's there and get a bit-by-bit copy of the hard drive. That means,
and when you say bit-by-bit?
All my bit-by-bit, algorithm for algorithm, bit-by-bit.
Well, what I mean, like for just layman's terms, like, is it one of those things like, because, you know, information when it's transferred, like if I upload a video to YouTube, it's going to compress it. And so I'm going to lose pieces of that information. Right. But when you say bit by bit, that means like I'm getting it. There's no doubt I'm getting every single thing.
I'm right blocking. So I'm right blocking it. So I cannot write to that hard drive. That's so I can't alter the hard drive while I'm collecting my information.
So they I mean, I think they just want to take liability off themselves.
Right. So I can say this hard drive copy has data integrity. Why? Because I used the right blocker. Here's a bit-by-bit copy. Here's the hash algorithm. Here's the hash values of the algorithm. They match bit by bit. It matches the hard drive. Matches on the copy. We didn't alter. Right block. So you cannot write to the hard drive. You cannot edit it.
Target did that?
Target wasn't even there to collect anything.
That's what I'm saying.
Target didn't go there to collect it. Target didn't go there to collect any information.
They were sent information that was edited to then retrieve and make clearer and make presentable.
Remember, the general manager gave that information to the police department. They didn't go in and get it.
Understand. If you put it this way, let me put it this way. If some of you, okay, cannot trust if some of you, let's be real, if some of you cannot trust your man, okay, yeah, or your lady, okay,
here we go.
why do we trust the police? So why are we supposed to? There are amazing police officers out there. I'm not denying that. But the ones involved in this case are not them. There's always a bad apple.
The reason why there are good police, though, like, is because we're doing what we're doing. You're holding them. Karen says it all the time. You hold people to the fire. You know what I mean? Like, you don't go halfway. Right. I mean, if you don't, like, I've been sober almost 5 years now, 4.5. Like, I'm not gonna be sober if I'm not accountable for things in my life. That's just how shit goes. Like, you know, I don't understand. Like, you're right. You know, like, you have to be like this. So the fact that they had that information, they didn't follow protocol at all. They knew to do it. And then they sent it to this like podunky weird place. And I even saw through on the FOIA that when they sent it to Target Forensics, it even had like a little note, because like the cops will, you know, write in there, or detectives will say, sent Target Forensics this date, blah, blah, blah. And then it's something on there. It said that the woman who worked at Target Forensics, right?
Julie,
she was
if you look at, let me say
either
something
on vacation or some sort of leave, and that's why it took so long. I remember reading that.
Let me say something right here while we're on Julie. If you go back to some of my videos when I did the metadata extraction, and that's why it's an exact science, you can clearly see Julie from Target Forensic, her name shows up using Photoshop, an expired version, to enhance some of the video footage. That's why it's an exact science, because it's going to tell you who did what. Forensics is an exact science because it's going to reveal who did what type of device they were on, what time they did it. If you go back to some of the videos that I posted when I did the metadata extraction, looking a little closer, you will see her name shows up. She works for Target Forensics, but computer forensics is an exact science. It's a science.
That's what they're scared of. That exact science. It's that exact science that they're scared of. It would uncover so much. There's so much that, and it's the fact that we get some of it slips through the net, and then they cover up some of the other stuff, which is why we are so confused. Because we're like, what is this about? What is this about? Whereas if we had the before and after, it would make sense. And I would advise anyone to do that, because that's what I do when I'm doing my analyzing and investigating. I look at what happened before. If I see something that's odd, when I post a video, it tends to be because I've looked at what happened before and after and then gone, okay, this has happened and that happened. So why did this happen in the middle? If it doesn't make sense, then to me, there's an edit. But a lot of the time it does. Like when you watch it, you're like, okay, so now this makes sense. And it is corrupt because I've looked before and I've looked after and I've looked on that camera and this camera where they would have walked this way, or that's how you can't just look at one screenshot, manipulate it 1,000 times and go, this is this. You've got to look at the before and after and see what's going on to make sense of it, so that you're not getting stuck in something that's going to waste your energy. You know, I think a lot of people have genuine intentions, genuine intentions, and they are genuine people that want justice, but you're getting stuck in things that are wasting your energy. So I'd advise anyone to just have an open mind, look at things and investigate how and we can always look as well at how police officers, how the FBI, how they would investigate. Right. And just take some of them skills on.
Can I piggyback real quick? Because what the FBI would tell them right off the back is, because they would do their own metadata extraction, they would say timestamps aren't synchronized.
Exactly.
That's the major problem, right? That is the major reason you lose cases in court when it comes to electronic data. Timestamps not being synchronized. That's number one. Also, they would let the police know you didn't go in to electronically retrieve this evidence yourself. Therefore, you cannot speak to the integrity or authenticity of the data that you got from somebody else, because they could get you on hearsay. You didn't go in to collect it. This is an exact science. You can't go in court, hem-hawing and trying to wing it and stuff like this. No, everything can be proven. This stuff has to be proven. You can prove this stuff out. So if I came behind them and I had to go to court, I say I came behind y'all. I wasn't there to retrieve anything, but I can come behind you and tell you who did what. Here's Julie right here using Photoshop. These are the layers she enhanced. This is what she did, layer per layer per layer. This is what she used. This is what was done. Da 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 da. This is what.
I'm sorry. Because I want y'all's opinion on this, because that Julie character seems so shady to me. And this is the reason why I get this weird feeling, is because, right? Like, I'm not the only one, right? Like, beyond that, okay, what you ladies mentioned about, I find it, now that I know and have that information, Kerenszha, about what you would properly do once you retrieve this data and what you would do with it.
And you have to house it. It's the way you collect.
Right. All of that was wrong.
All of that is important, because data is fragile. It's easy to alter the state of data. It is extremely fragile. Extremely fragile.
So
let me use this as an example. Has anybody ever been shocked? Has anybody ever been shocked?
By myself?
You're not grounded and then you touch something and you get a shock? Well, the same thing it is for data. Data is just that fragile. That's why you have to have on static bracelets. That's why you have to have on static boots. That data is just that fragile. It's easy to alter data. It's fragile.
So you've got this fragile data and you don't handle it correctly at all.
It's extremely fragile.
So and then beyond that, right? So instead of taking it to the place that you know to do it, and especially if the FBI says, hey, we got all these amazing resources, shit that people will trust, that will hold up in court, and this is what you're just supposed to do beyond that, because you're not, the police aren't a private company. They work for the public. So they're not supposed to just serve this hotel's interest and shady things up for them so it looks good. Like, that's what happened. Why we're all feeling weird is because that's what we just witnessed. So they send it to this lady, Julie. I see in the notes that it says that she went on, she went on vacation for a couple days, and and we'll get back in touch when she's done
she is
doing whatever magic she's got to do with some old ass program.
Julie is certified, but what I would go at her on is, if I had to go to court with her, I would be like, Julie, why are you using an expired program when the life cycle is dead? The life cycle on the version of Photoshop that she used was dead.
So it could have contaminated that data.
That means they no longer update. That version of Photoshop is dead. The life cycle is dead. No updates, no anything. So, and people have lost cases this way too. People have lost cases this way too. You go in and say, guess what? It was a bunch of botnets. It was a bunch of Trojans. It was a bunch of worms. The data is shady. It's corrupted. I would get her for that, for using an expired version of Photoshop.
Well, wouldn't you think, like, okay, they had that for 9 days.
They don't do the updates on that anymore. They don't update that version that she used.
But she had that stuff for 9 days. That's long enough to contaminate some evidence, right?
I don't think the contamination came on her end. She enhanced. Now, you can enhance too much, and I can turn around and get you on that too and say, you know what, you did too much. You compressed, looking at the quality compression here, there. But like I said, if I had to go against her in court, I would get her on using expired versions of Photoshop. That's what I would get her on.
Oh yeah, but
keep in mind, she didn't go there to collect it herself. She's just doing something behind what somebody gave her. That's what she's doing.
Mm-hmm. But
nobody was there to retrieve it themselves. Nobody was there to get it.
I'm not saying she did anything shady, but what I feel like is the police serving the interest of this business definitely, in my opinion, went out of the way to do things wrong.
Because they said, they said that in the statement, they are saying that they tried to seek help from Chicago and other forensic companies that were closer, but they was all busy. And I'm paraphrasing. When you go back and you look through them statements, they made it seem like no one locally or statewide could really help them.
They have
that's
certain
not
people that they
true.
go to. That's what it is. They have certain people that they go to that they know can do the job the way they want it for them. That's what that is. There's no way. There's no way in a place where there is multiple murders, multiple criminal cases going on, that you don't have that. I don't know. I'm sorry. They gave it to who they knew could do the job the way they wanted it done, and that is simple. And that is partly why the files are also being updated. It's all of this. It's the same thing. It's like, that's why I feel like there are people that are watching videos that people are making, which is why it's so important to get the correct information out there, because you'll make a video and then a certain file will be changed. And it's interesting.
I've seen that
That's how it works, you know, especially when I was in Google and I was going on inside the building. 2 weeks later, it gets, I can't enter the building no more. I'm thinking, well, what did I say in that video?
Either.
It's weird. It's uncomfortable. It's like Big Brother, isn't it? It's like there's a fly on the wall watching you constantly, you know. And I think that's the same thing as with this case. People are picking up on this. This is why the longer that we stay patient and we fight, the more things that will fall off, and we'll catch them and we'll see what this is about, because there's so much that is, like we keep saying, is obvious. That they have, there's a point where they have to take it up, otherwise their integrity is at risk. Because at the moment it is right now. So how long do they want to be doing this for?
Their integrity was always on the line. They didn't have integrity, because you can go back and look at their old court cases and tell that they didn't have integrity. They have been known to move cameras
before.
Don't care. They've been sued for it before by one of their own who used to work there. So and other officers. So you know the integrity is not. You just don't. You've seen video footage of them choke somebody out, and that's Rosemont. I usually put it in my video clips and show them choking out that man right there inside the police station at Rosemont, choking him out while he's handcuffed. Okay, that's Rosemont. So I'm not expecting, unfortunately, too much integrity coming from this police department at all. Not at all.
And they get paid crazy amounts for being corrupt, basically. They get paid crazy amounts for what they do.
Can I say something real quick? Your last video, PT, I'm so bad at interrupting. Y'all feel free anytime to interrupt the heck out of me.
You're all right. Keep talking.
But your last video I watched, like, I do, like, you guys, these are my friends and I ride so hard for them. Like, the work that y'all put into your videos is really impressive. And I take notes. Y'all have seen it. But one of the things that I saw when your last video, when you I don't think it was your last one, because that was the roof, but the one about the security guard. And several people in the chat are mentioning that. I would like, if you could, both of you guys, to touch on that, because you both have information. I even wrote down, when you get to this part, I'll piggyback in or whatever. But I looked up the what are they called? The shit about hypothermia and the Wisniewski. Sorry. Well, yeah, legions. Right? Legions. Come on. The Wisniewski lesions. I looked at, dude, I have a whole page written about it. Like
secondary lividity, secondary crime scene.
I went and looked it up and looked up pictures and images. And of course, you know, we don't have the Kanika, but we do have our autopsy report. And one of the things I think is positive for the family as far as the lawsuit and hopefully reopening this case is just the piss poor job of it. But when they, in her autopsy, when it talks about her gastrointestinal area, and that's would have been the area where those little lesions would have popped up. Mm-hmm. And basically what they are is they're kind of like wedge-shaped hemorrhages, and hemorrhages are basically for whatever reason, when you have a release of blood from a broken vessel, like, you know, you get them all the time, you know. But what happens when you get hypothermia, your blood constricts, it panics, it shoots to your heart really quick, and so you do break a lot of blood vessels. And so even if she was just frozen or had hypothermia, like in the very beginning stages, there would have been lesions in her stomach. And it says, I wrote it down word for word. It says, there are scattered puncture flat lesions on gastric mucosa. Notables or capsules are noted, but and then it says unremarkable, which means that she had normal stomach, and that in the word unremarkable, I looked it up, and it means in autopsy terms, like nothing's wrong. So this is impossible. If she froze to death, right, there would have been bursted blood vessels, not only in her eyes and stuff like that, but there would have been in her stomach, like everywhere. Like her liver, you look it up, it says there's nothing wrong with her liver.
Now I'm gonna piggyback off that, Margot, after you get finished.
Go ahead.
Because, and I can't say this enough, she has swelling of the brain. Hypothermia prevents the brain from swelling.
Swelling, right.
She had a collapsed lung. Can we know why did her lung collapse and why did she have swelling of the brain? And to me, the cause of death should have been swelling of the brain and a collapsed lung. Okay,
there's only one thing to say hypotherm, two things. One thing, the lesions and the fact she was in the freezer. That is it.
And we can't go off those lesions either, because remember, you can also get lesions when it's too hot.
Yep.
In the fire.
And you can get lesions.
Fire produces those same lesions.
And you can get lesions from pills. You can get lesions from pills. If you take pills, if she was given pills, okay, depending on how many she was given, they could be caused from pills. The only thing that there is to say she had hypothermia was I mean, even there's a comment in the chat, and it says that when you look at the situation with the party, that she says that her friends were kids, but most of the others were big grown adults, and that is 100% true. And I said that it is weird. The girls are younger than the guys.
Yep.
I just wanted to touch on that for a minute, because the girls seemed at that party younger than the guys. I mean, when we looked at even Mike, he was what, 27, 28?
Like 30, and one of them was 30.
Like
and the girls were 19, 20. I think Irene was probably one of the oldest ones at 21. So that is something that definitely is important in understanding, because you've got to remember, I remember when I was 19, and older guys that age, I was completely intimidated by, didn't really associate myself with people like that. I looked at them like they were adults, So you have to remember, put yourself into that situation of being that young girl. And maybe that's why she didn't want to be there. There was loads that said that Kenneka was uncomfortable being there. She said it in how many lives? She didn't look comfortable. She left after 2 hours? Is that it? So was it the fact that there were these older guys, and she knew what they were trying to do, for why she felt uncomfortable? And for some reason, that is, for me, something I think about a lot. The age gap and the intimidation. There was a lot of intimidation, I believe. And the girl that she was, I think she sensed it. She sensed it, and she knew she was amongst a bunch of younger girls that couldn't do nothing. She didn't know who these people were. Plus, they're older. She knows there's multiple gangs within that party. She wanted to leave, and she ended up being the one that got hurt. That's how I feel, but I don't know what you guys feel.
But let's go back to these. Like Margot said, the cause of death and the lividity in the body. And Dr. The forensic pathologist, one of the top in the world, when he talked about secondary lividity and just all of the things that happen when you intentionally contaminate a crime scene and do not collect what you should collect the first time around, and things that you miss. And so my thing is this, okay, because they took the body, and then did they wash the body down? Because if they wash the body down, you're washing away evidence that way too, okay? And remember, they took the body to a location, okay? So we got them doing that. Also, let's go back to what I believe is a bogus cause of death. Hypothermia, to me, is not the reason she died. To me, she died because She had swelling of the brain, and she had a collapsed lung. So that was the cause of her death.
I agree 100%. Like, two things, like,
but then what would you? But do you feel that there was? I personally feel that there was more damage to her body than what we even know. But they let us know a few little scrapes and bruises, but I believe there was a lot more damage to her body.
I do too.
Because for you to have swelling in the brain from hypothermia, something else has happened. Okay,
that's
something
right.
else has happened. So you need to answer
Trauma.
that question. You need.
You
can't
like
leave it there. You can't do it.
She looked like she went through it, you know, like she's covered in dirt.
That's
like she looked. You guys
and
are
I showed
totally
you one of my videos, the way her jacket was pulled up.
Dude, I've been saying that.
How
that
would
she
her
was
jacket be pulled up? How would her jacket be pulled up like that just from falling on the floor and passing away?
I think two people carried her. I think
had their arms under there.
Dude,
yes.
People carried her like underneath her arms, and then her butt, you know, because her pants are pulled that way. So somebody had like, her legs, and I think they dragged her to there because she's got the drag marks. And I like, hell yeah, she was beat. Like, come on, man, look at her. She's swollen. That baby is swollen. Like, there's no way.
Her legs are through the door. That is what I'm saying. Her legs are through the door because I thought that they dragged her from behind. So they had her held underneath. So her back, they were kind of holding her back under her arms onto her shoulders, and they were dragging her, and they pulled her into the corner. And as they shut the door, the leg hasn't come through properly. So they've shut the door. Her leg's gone up the door as they shut it, which is why her leg falls through the door when they open the door.
Because there's no way possible for her to do that herself. Yeah. There's no way possible for her to do that
herself. This is why I thought of so many possibilities of what happened to her and if her body was moved. And this is why I feel like when that guy goes into the kosher kitchen and he's looking down and we're like, what's he looking at? And he walks out. That door was open and I believe she was on the floor. And one person, which I believe is that beverage manager or the security guard, dragged her in. Okay, I believe it was more to the security guard, but it's only an opinion. Then the manager goes up there and checks. Okay, because remember the security guard has walked out to the police officer in the dock area. Okay, I believe it was one person that dragged her in. I believe
I believe it was more. It had to be. It's more than one. It's more than one. It was more than one. Definitely. More than one. Because
it depends how she died. It depends.
Dead weight is heavyweight. We have to remember that.
But you can still drag a dead body. This is the thing. You can still drag a dead. That's the thing.
Is heavier.
If she was in that freezer and she was outside of that freezer, okay, I know for a fact, me personally as a female, I could probably drag her into that freezer. I could probably do it. That's what I'm feeling. But you can do it. You can. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying it's possible. There's a possibility. So for me, there could have been more than one person that put her in there, 100%. But I think it's still possible that one person could. That's all I'm saying. Is a possibility. You know.
No, and also too, like your strength when, like, I mean, it's the situation where like you can't just call an Uber and fix it. Like you have to do this shit right now and that adrenaline.
And Miss Letha is saying something too. She called it a bite mark, but on Crystal's channel, because she still got the video footage before they started redacting and covering up parts of Kanika. She has the video footage with visible marks on her brassiere areas.
Yeah,
that's visible as clear as day. I don't know if it's bite mark. I
there was some bruising.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there was.
Yeah, she got it up there.
I think a lot of us ladies tend to believe that she was either sexually assaulted or a sexual assault was attempted. And
it was attempted, a lot of times, I believe something happened.
Yeah, and a lot of times with cases like that, like it's not necessarily about the sex, because people will be like, well, why, do that when you can just go buy it or get, it's not about that. It's about power. So a lot of times people who do awful things like that, it's because,
not just power, they'd be sick in the head.
Well, that's what I mean. It's a sickness in their head that equates violence with sex. Like a lot of serial killers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They don't see what they're doing as killing to them. It doesn't equate like that to them. That's the only way that they're able to achieve that desire. It's so what, like it's really bothers me to even talk about it like that, because I really do care about this girl and I've never met her, but it's just a really awful thing. And you can definitely tell that something was attempted and that she was put through something that nobody should have to go through. And that's why, like, it's difficult, man. It has to be talked about, but it is a rough subject because you can see like definitely she was pulled, you know. And one more thing back to the hypothermia, because I forgot. But I read an article because I've read several articles and I've seen even several datelines even of people who were thought to be frozen dead being able to, you know, I think that Kanika, more than likely, because they don't know how long she was in the freezer really and actually frozen. You can be in there for a certain amount of time. They didn't know what the temperature, none of that, right?
You know what? And I'm not going to go with frozen on that. And you know why? Because they didn't take her body temperature to prove that she was frozen.
Dude, it's not even an autopsy.
They didn't take her body temperature. Excuse me. In that autopsy, they should have taken her body temperature so we can get an exact time that she died. Usually in an autopsy like this, why wouldn't you take the person's body temperature? You can take it, you know, through the glutamate maximus, which is the most accurate way to get a body temperature from a deceased person to tell the time that they died.
Exactly. Well, and especially if you're going to say they died from hypothermia, you would have a body temperature.
Like, there's no body temperature in that autopsy.
That should be important. If you're going to say someone died from hypothermia, you should really have done that to be able to clarify what you're saying. And there's a lot that, I mean, even if you go back to the fact that there was another medical examiner within the same office that has done all these bogus autopsies.
Right.
You really think that it's not possible that there could be another one doing that, or it's not happened? I believe 100% this has happened multiple times with multiple of the medical examiners within this office, and it needs to be taken into account, because if one person is going to do it, they talk, okay? They talk. They see what happens within that office. They see what goes on. So, like I said, if you do something once, you become desensitized to it, and it becomes easier to do it again. It's the same thing with serial killers. It's easier once you shoot a gun once. It's easier to shoot it again. So this is why you hear of them doing it so many times with so many cases, because they're getting money and it's easy now because I'm desensitized to it. It's like with anything, you know. So, and money is an addiction as well. Remember that money is an addiction. To these people, money is their life. Okay, so whatever gets in the way gets deleted. That is it. It is that. I think it's just hard sometimes for us to take on board how cruel some people can be. It's hard to put yourself in their shoes of how cruel someone can be if you are not of that character. And you need to understand how cruel people have been in this situation to understand what's happened, and then how to look at it and then say, well, this person could have done this and this person could have done this. The police didn't do their job properly at all. The employees didn't do their job properly at all. The security guard is what I don't know why he was employed, because if you ain't got access to a security system and you're a security guard, what are you doing there? And then you have, you know.
No, go ahead. Well, I feel like this is a good topic for a minute, the security guard, because there's several things that are bothersome. And Alan even said, he was like, you know, as far as solving this case is to keep it simple. And I agree, like with a lot of things in life, you definitely keep it simple. And what we try to do is gather all the information, especially even the little details, and those build up into bigger factions of this case. So it becomes
you're going off information that's been given.
Right. So when we talk about the security guard, there's several little things, like I even wrote down in my notes the security guard videos with PT. And you mentioned that the security guard, the employee who was supposed to be interviewed, I'd like you to talk about that video a minute, because we even have in the video footage, when we first heard about this case and we saw the Snapchat videos, we see in that party room, I think it's Tyrone
running around like a chicken with his head cut off.
And they say to him, PT gets it. They say to him, I wrote it down. They said, no, only old people call police, which makes me think, well, they weren't talking to an old person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You were saying,
Yeah.
well, no, only an old person would call police. What are you? You're not that, right? So I think it was one of those younger guys that we see that are not looking for Kaniko while she's missing. And I think it's interesting that Zach, go ahead. I'm just, that video hit me hard.
Keep talking because you're talking sense. Like,
well, it hit me hard, man. Like, in the fact that Zach was able at one point to possibly get an interview with him, you know, because he even, dude, like, can you imagine had we had that interview? Could you imagine?
That interview? You know, it was taken. Someone's seen it. That's all I have to say. Someone's seen it other than Zach.
Oh, I believe that.
Video interview of the manager. Someone's seen it. Okay, it's there. I don't believe that. That's floating around somewhere.
Let me put it out right now. Have anybody has seen that video and can corroborate with hard facts? Please email me, Kerenszharris, Painting Truth 18@gmail.com. Like,
it's there. I don't believe it's not there.
Know this: if you're sending me any type of documents,
oh, she don't play.
I'm going to scan it. I'm going to scan it first for any type of backdoor. For any type of backdoor. It's not trying to be funny, but I do scan all documents.
Okay. She said most of their workers are hired from a second chance programs. They're immigrants and felons. And this is but I just as someone.
Yeah, I don't want to go down the immigration path, but I will talk about the criminal path.
Criminals,
I mean, it's one of those things where you talk about being desensitized, where this could have, like, is it a big deal to someone, who's seen a lot of violence and that? No, I don't know, but
it's a big deal to the person who owns it, who's being sued in court 3 different ways. And that's the Stevenson's family.
The security guard stuff, it makes me with her video. And then you have the information with Zach being able to get an interview, which means it was someone young because he trusted another young person that was gonna, it wasn't like, because trust me, don't think for 1 second that Chicago Tribune and blah, blah, blah had their numbers and were dialing. For one, like, definitely wanted to talk. The Chicago Tribune people there work there definitely saw the Zach videos with Irene. I mean, it's a huge case. Everybody, I mean, huge. She was on Dr. Oz. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a small case. Nancy Grace covered it. Even I showed you guys Shane Dawson, a YouTuber that has like 18 million followers. He covered her case and thinks it's a murder. And that also, that to me is huge. That someone with a platform that giant is willing to sit there and say, this was a cover-up.
It was a cover-up, exactly.
Yeah.
There's too much there. That's why.
Too much.
They slipped up immensely. I don't understand. I mean, you might as well had left what happened in the surveillance, just left it there, because it's as bad as if I would see it. That's how I feel. It's that obvious.
Totally.
I mean, it's you don't have to see someone commit a crime to know they've done it. Okay. Most cases they ain't seen the person commit the crime, but they know they've committed the crime and they get convicted.
Hell yeah.
This is a case like that. This is as bad as one of them cases where you haven't seen a person commit the crime, but you know someone's committed the crime and she was. This is bad. So why is it? This is why the autopsy is so important when you talk about these things, because, like I said, there's only a couple of things in that would say it's that she died of hypothermia, and there's only one medical factor that would say that.
And these women that and these Christians that on these autopsies, one was like a year in, and she's been coming in on a case like this allowed to do an autopsy, and the other one, she's been taken to court before for falsifying information on autopsies. So,
and the other thing
with the autopsy, that's why I can't go with their final determination that her cause of death was hypothermia. I'm not going with that. They've been caught up with too much stuff.
In the video he showed, it had Zach speaking, and he's speaking, he was talking about one of the security guards he was going to interview, and he had said, he also mentioned about the autopsy, and he was like, man, they don't know. And this was the date of that video. She was found the 10th of September, right? Zach posted at that point the autopsy hadn't been out, because I checked and like made sure the autopsy came out on October the 6th. So during that time, Zach was like, he even said on there, he was like, they don't know what she died from. Dude,
he even says that
if
it
it was
came back
hypothermia, they would have
inconclusive
known
twice.
it like immediately. What
Exactly.
are you talking about?
He says it came back inconclusive twice. He said that it came back inconclusive. The only reason why it would come back inconclusive twice is because you don't know how she died. So on the third go, that means that the fact that you're now saying that it was an accident doesn't hold much weight. After you didn't know why she died twice. There's no weight held in that. Especially when you're saying it's clear accident and it's hypothermia, and then there's all this evidence, it comes back inconclusive twice, and there's all this evidence on show. 36 hours of surveillance. Dude. Clear evidence of a struggle in that freezer. Surveillance footage missing all in a row, where there's in the employee area, and you don't take their phones, you don't check the system straight away. To me, that is one of the worst things about this case that irritates me the most.
I think what people is forgetting is that they only released 36 hours of video footage. It's hundreds of hours of video footage.
Yeah.
They only gave you 36. They gave you what they wanted you to see. To spin a false narrative and tell a story the way that they wanted to tell it. Just like they did from the beginning when they sent their public relations talking head specialists out there to start spinning this story. People need to understand and realize you only have 36 hours of video footage. It was more.
A lot more. And I've always said, for me, even if we just had 12 hours extra either side, a lot of more would have been out. I believe there is other things, I've said it so many times, happening in this hotel that they do not want us to know. And I believe Kenneka Jenkins was going to uncover a whole lot of shit. Okay?
And that's what we need to get down to too. Did she see something? Did she see something?
Exactly. And there's whole nother bit, like in this image that's on the screen now. If you was to turn right down there, there's a whole nother room.
Tina is saying something. She said, we want the video footage starting with the 5th. No, Tina, I want the video footage that starts with the month prior, that goes beyond the 5th.
They ain't gonna do that.
Get me out of August. Get me out of.
They ain't doing that. They just about got this one done.
Give me all of the month of August. Give me all of the month of September, and give me all of the month after September.
That's what they're gonna have to do now.
October. Give me
There's
all.
too much there.
I don't want, just because I want to see what the normal protocol of the hotel was. I want to see were there any abnormalities. What did the kitchen area in the hotel look like prior to this incident? See, I want to see everything. I want to see the behavior of the people. I want to see the behavior, of the hotel staff. I want to see the behavior of, I want to look at patterns. I want to look for patterns.
Yeah.
So I would need more than just the 5th. I would need months before.
Actions speak louder than words
after,
at the end of the day.
And the entire month of September.
Yeah. And
they would have
to sift through it to prove that. It's just irritating when you are not, like, it's almost like you have to prove that she was murdered rather than them investigate. So there's always this barrier of the police against the public. Oh, you have to prove that something went wrong here. No, you need to prove that. You need to go in and do what you're supposed to do and not allow potential suspects to pass you over evidence. And you trust that. And you not say anything. Even it shouldn't even be relevant, to be honest. The statements to me show more red flags than the surveillance in a lot of places. That's why you have to balance out the two. You can't just watch the footage. You have to read as well. Then go, well, this happened at this time. This is that person. Let me see what they're doing in the footage. And if that works out with their statement. There are multiple times where it doesn't work out. There are so many times where someone said something and that's not happened in the surveillance. But still no one does anything. The manager implies that he walked into the freezer, but how can you if her legs are across the door? No one says anything. You know, it's all those things, and especially the amount of times they've questioned the manager. I've showed you in my past live that the first person to find a body or enters a crime scene is the prime suspect.
Yeah.
Prime suspect, because they could be there first to change or alter evidence, or to make it look like, oh, I'm the nice guy, I'm the one who told you that she was here, it can't be me. That's what that is.
It's not only that, but like whoever finds the body first, that sets the tone with who to talk to as far as
Exactly.
where to go. I mean, these are simple things. Not everybody who finds a body is, you know, but it is one of the most integral parts of an investigation. And for them to be so lazy and willing to accommodate and bend at every want and need of this hotel screams to me like murder by nepotism, really. Like, I find
they were saving the employees. That's how it looks to me. Like, it looked to me like they were saving the employees. Okay, and
it screams it.
There's so much corruption. Even the employee statements, the way the employees act. There are some party guests that I believe act funny, that makes no sense. The things they've said have make no sense. And when you see all of these things and you put them together, even if you don't know what's happened, you know something's happened. You know, it's like,
no, you're right.
You know, if you have a child and they come in late, or if you have a child and they're bruised, you know they've been hit. Okay, that's the type of thing I'm talking about. If you see something has happened. If you see that there's scrapes on her foot and there are scrapes on the floor in the freezer and her clothes are coming off where they shouldn't be and her shoes are not on, the laces are untied, but she's got no socks on, then why was that caused? Something must have happened, but no one seems to be investigating it. That's the blatantness of it, the obviousness of it, just that alone. And like Doughboy said, just the narrative makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. And even when you see her coming out of the elevator on the lower level, she comes out. Then the next time it opens, no one comes out, but you can see someone in there. And this is before that woman comes out with her child. There's somebody in there with a white top on. They could be innocent, but they should be taken account of. Do you understand what I mean? They should still be investigated. Who was that? Then we say, oh, they're innocent. You know, we'll put that aside. Okay, it shouldn't be. They should have been gone overboard with this case. They knew what happened. They knew that people were looking at it and thinking this is corrupt. They knew how the public had gone with it. They should have gone overboard so that they didn't implement themselves, but they've completely implemented themselves because they didn't do their job properly. So even if you believe that she wasn't murdered, the police didn't do their job.
Well, and here's the thing too. Why do you
they've not done what they're supposed to do at all?
Well, and answer me this. Why, okay, for the police not to do their job, it's either one or two things, right? Like, you wouldn't not do your job really well for no reason because you could be fired. So if you're going to fuck up, right? If you're going to do your job, if you're going to be corrupt, there's a reason why you would benefit from it from some reason. We know that the police do part-time security in that hotel. We know it's a small town where everybody knows everybody. And I've grew up in a small beach town where, like, I knew people because my grandpa knew people. It was generations of stuff. And like, he did business with everybody in this town. He owned several different businesses and stuff. Like, so when you have a situation like that, yeah, I can see a bunch of police officers and shit like that knowing that something's not right here, but they get a paycheck, they get monthly benefits, they're able to live a nice lifestyle. They've got kids at this point, they've got a wife that's on the line. I mean, you don't know, the person collecting that evidence could, you know, have a drug problem and needs this job. I mean, you never know things down on a cellular level. So yeah, I totally believe that, like, this was made to be a cover up because it had to be. Money was spent. And if you scratch my back, then I'll scratch yours, you know? Like, I'm sure at some point this year, police officers are going to have themselves a little group meeting or whatever the hell they do and have some burgers in the caddy shack.
Yeah.
They already did.
Straight up. Straight up.
They already did. They
See?
already did. After
That
they turned up there
disgusts me.
to protest the Caddyshack, yeah, they had a nice meal in there because they don't care. They don't care. And they know what happened and they still don't care. Okay?
Yeah.
Those are the same police that know what happened that are eating in that restaurant, okay? And it's the character that I don't... Even when you read on the website, the mayor says, oh, we had to equip our police with body cams to protect them. Not the public, not to make sure that the police are not harming the public, just to protect the police from the...
Right.
Because when in the Kanika Jenkins case, the police were harassed and the characters were put down. What are you talking about? So you basically try to make up, you gave them body cameras because of the Kanika Jenkins case. So you're trying to, that's your way of making people look crazy. No, you should have cameras on yourself, yeah, to show that you haven't done anything wrong, but it should be to prove that, because there's all this police brutality, to prove that the public are not harmed, and that can go to
builds
court.
the trust with the public. It says that
Exactly.
I'm not ashamed or worried about anything that I'm going to do with you. I'm going to do my job and you're going to be fine. And this is just like, it's basically, body cams are like therapists for married couple. You know what I mean? Like, it's there when you need it, you know, and that's how it should be used. But just the wording on that alone, yeah, you caught it. I mean, that's the whole purpose of that town, down to its core. So much so that even when they think they're being slick, they tell on themselves. And I think too, Alan, he said, he goes, I believe the crime happened in the room. And I believe a crime did happen there. I think several crimes happen when you get to the point with, if you drug somebody, that's a crime. You know what I mean? If you leave somebody unattended, that's helpless or in need of help, and you don't attend to them. I mean, that's actually like, that's a law. Like, if you see somebody who needs help and you're capable of doing that, the law is you help them, whether it's someone junior, just for instance.
I believe some things happened in the hallway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and we all know
that, and they don't have any, mysteriously, it was no cameras.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't even know
cameras in the hallway, so we can't see what was happening in the hallway. And then it's just a whole bunch of mysteriousness going on that's unnecessary and foolish to me. I call that foolishness. Due to the fact that when she entered into that kitchen, motion detection went off. Simple. At the end of the day, I don't care how people try to slice this and dice this. When she entered in that kitchen, the alert went off to alarm everybody that she was inside of there. It can't get any easier than that. It can't get any easier than that. That's the purpose of having a motion detected camera, whether it was based off algorithms or infrared. They knew she was in there. The alarm was sent. The alert was sent. It triggered to inform them. Bottom line.
And the fact that nobody really goes in that room, it should have been a shock to the system that someone was in that room. If there's a warning and there's no one normally in that room, then that should be an alarm bell. Who's in that room then at this time of night?
The alert went off. The alarm went off. Somebody knew something.
So this is what I'm trying to say. It's either someone was in that kitchen who shouldn't have been in that kitchen, you should have checked, okay, and they're doing something wrong, or you didn't do what you're supposed to do. Check that if someone was in that kitchen and the alarm went off. So you're either negligent or there's a crime happening. To me, it's always that balance. When I look at this, analyze stuff, there's always that balance. Either you're negligent for what happened because you didn't do this, or there's foul play.
And they're getting sued for negligence and liability. They're getting sued for negligence and liability. That's just right off the bat because it happened on your property. The incident occurred on your property. So you're going to get it for liability and negligence. That's a no-brainer. But people want to ask, well, how come the case wasn't tried as a murder or a crime because they ruled it as an accident.
Accident. That's what they knew
And
they
so,
was going to do.
regardless of whether they ruled it as an accident, regardless of that, any good attorney is going to get you for liability and negligence right off the bat. Now,
it's obvious negligence.
Right. Not only that, but like I said, he's licensed to practice civil law too. So he does civil cases too. So he can go ahead and make sure this case progress to the next level.
And just because you're not hearing things about the case, don't assume nothing's happening.
He has sued the state of Illinois before. He has sued the state of Illinois before. He has sued the medical examiner's office before. But
Yeah,
what?
I read
His
about that.
autopsies, and he sued the police departments before for what? Bogus information too.
You know what, Soupbone, they brought up, they said there's a security office back there that no one talks about.
Yeah. I know something was going on up in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Something was going on up in
and
there.
there's a giant camera on the barriers as you leave the car park, and there's no surveillance of that. There's no surveillance on that. And it's not been mentioned. And that's not the employee parking camera either.
Yeah,
that's the camera to the exit to see who comes in and out, and to make sure that they've paid whatever they've paid, or you get their number plate or whatever. That's what that camera's for.
Yeah, I think Doughboy said he was like, there's 47 cameras. So,
yeah,
I mean,
loads of cameras. And we haven't seen 47, nowhere near 47 cameras.
I agree, man.
Okay, and people in the chat, can I say something really quick? People in the chat, when it comes to the time, I need you all to keep this in mind too. When you do a metadata extraction and you look at timestamps, they aren't synchronized with the chain of events as they happened and occurred. So we can, that's a big guesstimation too.
Karen, read what Rika said, I want to hear what you have to say about this. She goes, most agencies treat most death scenes as a homicide immediately until otherwise determined. The police department knew exactly what they were doing. Her death scene wasn't an obvious accident.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like
they never treated it like a homicide from the beginning.
Supposed to.
Do you remember?
And one of the detectives, now the original detective, and excuse me, no disrespect to Detective Delacova, because I've spoken with him before directly. The one who took over, not Delacova, but the initial detective, he was on the right path in terms of protocol, making sure warrants was issued, making sure he had clearance from the judge for certain things. And it seems as though something or someone got to him.
Yeah.
And that's when the investigation started going downhill. That's when you see people coming behind
obvious shit.
Half doing a job or not doing a job at all.
I think Open Mind said, since the medical examiner was fired, will there be another autopsy? It was a different medical examiner that was fired.
It was the same office.
But it was in the same office. He was in the same office, but it was a different medical examiner. But it's still really important, like I said.
Huge.
That there was someone in that same office that was corrupt, that was doing bogus autopsy.
He did over 200
that practice.
Over
200. That's for the state. That was for the state of Illinois. Keep in mind, next door in Indianapolis, Indiana, he also did autopsies there, and they had to go back to all of those.
Okay, Rika said again, this is interesting too. I used to dispatch for a big department, and I've never seen a death investigation treated in this manner.
Exactly.
Doughboy, exactly, Doughboy, which is the key to me. Then the chief switched it up, and yes, he was switching up. Why? Because their relationships with Stephen's family.
He's probably the one that was on the roof. I'm telling you.
Stephen's family.
He's probably the one that was on the roof. Yeah. Like, this is what I'm saying. It's about, when it comes to like you say, as policing, it comes to power. Who has that power? So the mayor will attack the person who has the power to manipulate them into do what they need them to do. But you've got to remember, the mayor put them in place. If we're going to look at it properly, the mayor put these detectives in place. So
Gina,
he can use them for what he needs to use them for.
Yeah,
Can I say something?
pick up what you said.
Gina is saying, and what medical examiner asked for footage before the final ruling. Gina, do you know the forensic pathologist? And I'm not talking about a regular medical examiner, because people need to understand a forensic pathologist and a medical examiner are two different people.
Two different things.
Totally different things. They're doing two. The forensic pathologist is going to be extremely thorough in what they do. Okay. More extensive training.
Oh, and I covered that on the live because like Karen encouraged me with this case to like really dig in, like become what you're looking at. And
I actually put that in one of my videos.
Right. Well. And let me finish this up. Let me finish the thought up. One of the top forensic pathologists, Henry Lee, he's another one.
Yeah, he's good.
He can look at pictures. This man has been known to look at pictures from a crime scene and tell you exactly how the person died and what the cause of death was before he even got the body, and he was 100% accurate. So those who have done over 20,000 autopsies can look at video footage. They can look at stuff because they're looking for specific things. But this person, I don't know that they were looking for anything specific at all. I don't know what this person was doing.
My issue with it, real quick.
I don't know.
And if you're going to use corrupted surveillance
footage, they didn't solve
to help an autopsy to find what happened and put it in an autopsy, a document, like that. You have to be 100%. If you're going to use, this is the problem. But one of the problems that I find that people don't understand is that everything that happened prior to her body getting found, whatever information was accessible to the medical examiner was also used to determine her cause of death.
Yes.
So if the surveillance footage was corrupted, if the evidence wasn't collected, if the pictures weren't taken properly, that can also affect what is written on that document, because they looked at surveillance footage to try and understand how she got to where she got, but from corrupted surveillance footage. So we got to look at both,
Well, my thing was, and I just want to say this real quick. When I researched about the difference between, just a medical examiner, someone who does autopsy, and then a forensic pathologist, I started reading this book or whatever of this famous medical examiner, and she worked like in a big, like New York or whatever. But the whole point is that you don't just sit there and determine a death quickly. Like you said, if there's the evidence, like they will wait months and talk to several different sources before you just give a cause of death. It's called a manner of death. So you wouldn't just sit there and say, oh, she died from hypothermia without seeing and from the police all of the footage. That's why it takes a long time. Like being someone who does autopsies, it's not like this fun, glamorous job. It's a lot of work. I'm not going to just sit there
what they're bringing up?
Someone's loved ones.
Can I say this really quick? You know what they're bringing up, and they're 100% accurate. Andrew Holmes was discussing drugs in her system before the autopsy was done. And that right there,
I had that in my notebook. I had that in my notebook. This is why I'm saying there's a connection with the police. There is a connection. I'm not doubting it. He works with the police. It's documented. It's put in on the internet for everybody to see that he works with the police and the FBI. So there is a connection there. There is no doubt in my mind that there is a connection there. And for the fact that, like you say, he knew this, he saw images before her mother saw it, there is no doubt that he has a connection, which is why I felt like he is a lot more involved in this case than we realize when it comes to the cover-up. I'm telling you, they need to get someone who they thought that people would be able to relate to him, and they would believe him. But then he slipped up because they did such a bad job. You know,
He's
so
a respected activist in Chicago. Like, I read about him. So you're right. They definitely chose him for a reason. I think that they thought because he was Black that, you know, the people who were upset and the Black, you know, like the family would trust his word more.
Yes.
And Teresa's not an idiot. This guy was just shoved to speak about her daughter without ever speaking to her. You know, if you've got some information about my dead daughter, why the fuck, excuse me, why are you going to tell the news before you tell me?
And then they got offended. And then they got offended when she showed up with her team of attorneys who all specialize in different things.
And she
They
was
were completely
villainized.
offended when she showed up with that team because he ran himself out there and said he saw her walk into that freezer. You can pull
They
video
tried
footage
to
up. Those are
discredit
his exact
Teresa.
words. Those
They
were his
tried to
exact
discredit
words.
her when
He
she
saw
showed
video
up.
footage of her walking into that freezer. That's where Andrew Holmes said he lied.
But I'm reading it on here now. It said, Butterlove says, Jedediah said Holmes worked for the feds. And yeah, he did. He did. I had it in one of my videos. But the way they describe it's the same thing they're doing with the case. They try and butter it up. They say, oh, he works to help them clean the streets up and get the guns off the streets.
Right.
And no, he works for the police. Okay, he works for the feds, and he helps them. That they don't have no one in their team that they can't help. They can't help them cover up stuff. This is Chicago.
Hold on for a moment. Who is this person talking to? Soup Bone? No, Andrew Holmes never said that. He didn't lie. Andrew Holmes told a bald-faced, flat-out Maximus
He told
Fibulus lie.
He told loads of lies that can actually be proven.
Pull it back up. You know what? I'm gonna have to put it in one of my videos.
Those lies can be proven.
You
Okay,
can still pull that video footage up where he
proven.
said he saw her walk into that freezer. He said that.
because then he had to make that.
That's a lie.
And he never and he never recanted his story. He said it on the news. The news media got the clips.
They don't like to read. Like they don't like to.
No, they didn't even have to read it.
They go missing. They go missing. They go missing, and they don't like to come back on it because they know they'll get questioned and they won't know what to say. So they go missing. Okay, that's what he did. He did a few little bit of help and went missing. This is the problem that I have. Like, you can't just do a little bit and then go missing. If you would have proved that you was telling the truth. He didn't have that agenda in him at all. It wasn't passion. There was no passion to him with this case at all. Because why did he lie?
Excuse me, hold on. Soup Bone. The news didn't lie on him. That came straight from his own lips.
Exactly. It came from his mouth. That came from his mouth. He
directly from his mouth
that he didn't do. Why did they show him images of someone else's daughter before she saw them? Answer that question. If he's not a police officer, answer me that question now. Why did he see all them images and all that surveillance footage before her mother saw it? And there's no way you can tell me that that's correct. That's how it should be. You believe that if you put that and you say that's fine, that's what he's supposed to do. Where have you ever seen that happen before? And if you think that's humanely correct, you need to go and find help. That it's not correct. It's not. There's nothing you can say to say that's correct. No one should. An activist who has no status other than being an activist should not be seeing pictures of someone's dead child before they do. Well, why do they have that privilege? Explain to me in the chat right now why they should have that privilege. Explain that. If he's not involved with the police and he's not involved with the feds in the way that I'm saying, explain to me right now why that happened, please.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is you can't even pretend that he's not involved with the feds. A little story time really quick. And by the way, I got your back. No disrespect, but she's right. We're discussing someone's loved one, someone's the magic, of creating a person that you love, and then they're taken from you by some really fucked up people, that's a heavy subject to talk about. So before you just say that, a little research, it helps you, and the thing is, Andrew Holmes, his son was killed, and it was a high profile thing. So of course, a lot of times in situations like that with nepotism in a city like that, he became involved and started becoming an activist. Well, you meet a lot of rich people because you're taking their money and investing them in different programs and stuff like that. But we know just like Chicago has a major problem with money exchanging hands and then suddenly coming up missing when it comes to projects and stuff like that. So Andrew got involved with not the best type of people.
No way.
So part of his job was a cleanup guy. I mean, there's pictures of him getting a medal.
They used him to clean it up. 100%.
So he was there. He was there to basically continue the narrative that the hotel had set out, and to say this is just a very tragic thing. And I think that the hotel in the town, like Rosemont, they thought, okay, we get Andrew there. He's a big guy. He's a big guy from Chicago. Everybody, you know, as far as publicly, I mean, sure, people who really know what's up are like, you know, that's shady as hell. But for the most part, people respect what he says at this point. Now, this whole thing has like totally discredited him. I mean, it's like no one's going to take what he says seriously anymore. I mean, even the news disagreed with them and was like, no, we don't have footage at all. Every article of Kanika, besides the one thing that posts her autopsy, they'll say, you know, yeah, she died of hypothermia, blah, blah, blah. But they also say in every article that there is no footage of her walking into that freezer. And the whole purpose of him to speak that day was to say, no, she walked in the freezer. I saw it with my own two peepers. I heard and saw with my own two eyes him say that live that day.
And it was supposed to be a case closed. Move on. There's nothing else to see here. Move on along. Totally. Don't use your brains and think about anything. Just move on along.
And where they messed up is the way that they tried to put her death off is so many people who cared about this were just regular working people who at one point probably worked in a kitchen, you know, worked for a bit, you know, stuff like that, where they're like, even if you work for a business and not a kitchen, even fast food or whatever, you know, there's security cameras everywhere. You know, the boss can see what you're doing from his house, you know, so you can't steal from the register. I mean, people knew that this story didn't add up on so many different levels. You know, I wish that I could say, you know, they did like certain things are right and that we don't have to criticize them on every single thing. But the truth of the matter is, like, they really messed up every step of the way. Any opportunity to do the right thing was curbed. That doesn't scream corruption to you?
There's a lot of corruption involved. That is what is confusing everybody. And I think they know that. They know that all this all these things that just don't add up is going to help keep us confused and not understand what's happened. That's why they don't really care that they didn't cover all of it up. As long as we don't see what happened. This is what I said about the Kendrick Johnson case. All that mattered was that we didn't see what happened. They cut it so obviously in his surveillance. All they cared about was that we didn't see what happened. That was it.
And then people need to keep in mind, you have a hotel who's going to be held liable, turning over vital evidence and information to the police department. You wouldn't be able to give me anything and you're going to be held liable and accountable when an incident occurred on your property. No, I'm going to get a warrant and I'm going to come in and I'm going to collect what I need to collect.
And that's what should have happened.
I'm not going to allow you to give me anything because you're going to be held liable.
I've personally
why would you give me anything to self-incriminate your organization, your building, and your livelihood? You're not going to do that. I'm going to come in and I'm going to get it.
Yes.
That's the way that goes.
I've seen police come in with forensic suits on and take surveillance out of a building the same time. I've seen it. That's what they should have done. The fact they didn't do that is a red flag, and they
could have still done that and kind of quote unquote got their way. I mean, like, that's the other thing is, like, there's situations where they could have done the right thing and probably still, you know, cleaned up this mess a little bit. It's just like, this is just bizarre almost. I'm sorry, go ahead, Karen.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to answer this question in the most politest way I could. Lisa Marie wants to know why don't Doesn't Kanika have a tombstone yet? I wouldn't put a tombstone out there
Exactly.
either. You know why? Because
did you see
people
what happened to Kendrick Johnson's tombstone?
That's why people have acted a plum dog fool at these graveyards where Kanika is supposed to be at. They've been out there acting a fool, a straight up fool.
I don't understand.
And I wouldn't put my child's out there either because people made up. No, now let me go here because people have lied. Let's call it what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. We not little kids. People have lied. They know right from wrong. They have set up and lied on purpose and intentionally. Okay, I can see you doing it at first and you made a mistake. But when you go through and you look at everything, you know good and well it's a lie. It's an autopsy for a reason. It's a case in court for a reason. No one's sitting up here making up all this stuff. It's not a psyop. It's not fake. People have bogus story at the bogus story. People have harassed and basically drug her family through the mud and slandered their names. No, I would not
them to take
and I'll also
minds off of them.
Let me get this one right here. People have profited off of Kanika Jenkins' name. Hustlers out there profiting off of her name. No, I wouldn't put a tombstone out there. What? So people can make some more money off my child if it was my child?
Exactly.
Make some money off my child's name? When they
Beyond
were supposed to about justice?
Exactly.
No, hold on, let me finish. Don't know no, I wouldn't put it out there. I wouldn't. Because people have showed their natural born behind. That's why.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it. Even before anything happened, I wouldn't have done it. I completely understood why. I completely got it. I wouldn't have done it just because
death is
how
like
crazy people have been. Simple as that from the beginning.
Death is a weird thing. Everybody grieves differently. Everybody celebrates death sometimes differently. Like her mother has the choice and option to do whatever she wants to do for her daughter. If her not having a tombstone gives maybe her mother some peace, maybe makes her mother's life a little bit easier to carry on, then at that point, we're asking the wrong questions. Like sometimes you can be like distracted and be one of those, like people like to call it agents or whatever, like for free. You gotta, it's good to be curious and ask questions and think, but you're focusing on the wrong part. And a lot of times us as humans, sometimes we're trained because it's easier to blame the victim. But there's nothing wrong with Kanika having a headstone. And someone even mentioned that XXXTentacion, why does he have a headstone? Well, he's a celebrity. Kanika's a private person. We're people who care about her case.
Out on each other. That's ridiculous.
This is
the type of stuff I'm talking about. Two things happen at the similar time. We're talking about Kanika. I mean, then something happens to someone else, and for some reason we combine the two. We need to get out of this being your whole world. Okay, there's a world outside of the Kanika Jenkins case, and people live their lives other than Kanika Jenkins. And people have different perceptions other than Kanika Jenkins. It's important to have a balance, okay? When you live just in the Kanika Jenkins world, that's when you start relating everything to Kanika Jenkins, when it's got nothing to do with it. That all these conspiracy theories are because people live inside this world. And you've got to remember that people live lives. They have kids, they have jobs, they do all these other things that have nothing to do with it. And things can happen outside in the world that has nothing to do with it, but it's a coincidence. We need to put everything in place as well and stop I reckon if we could do that, these theories would stop. We need to just stop thinking that everything that's happening right now is because of the Kanika Jenkins case, because it's not. Okay, we're relating things that have nothing to do with it to it. And this is why people are starting to hate her family. This is why people are connecting, saying that Zach was in the building. If you believe Zach was in the building, he could have been in the building, okay? But that person just wasn't him. When I said that wasn't Zach, that wasn't Zach. He could have been in the building. I just don't think that was him, okay? So that's the type of thing. We need to analyze things down properly. I don't do a job like the police did. I do a thorough job. When I look at pictures, I don't do that half-hearted stuff. I replay and replay and replay and replay and zoom in and zoom out. I zoom into the pixel. Okay.
If anything, and think about this, I'm curious about y'all's opinion. this is what we're even talking about right now. Why does she have a grave? What, doesn't, this is the result of a piss poor police job, because had they done their job, had they not left all these unopened answers, there wouldn't be room for a conspiracy theory. There wouldn't be room for attack on a victim, because we would know this is the person who did it. Her mother had nothing to do with it. This, if anything, if you're going to ask questions, which there's nothing wrong with that, but like I said, focus it on the shit that matters. That beyond that, focus it on the stuff that's going to affect you, because you're more than likely to come across a corrupt police officer than a Satan worshiping Mason. Period. If that's what you believe in, cops are more likely to destroy your life than a lizard eating Obama impersonator. I mean, that is just, for me, that's what I'm like. I'm more scared of that.
It's that real. It is that real that you have to make jokes out of things because people have made it into a joke. Like sometimes I hear things and I actually laugh, not because it's funny, but I'm like, do you actually hear what you're saying? Like record it into your phone, okay, and play it back, and then you'll understand why this happens to me so many times. People say some things that are just nuts.
Dude,
and that's where the confusion is, because the case is nuts. So what do you say to these people? I get it, because the case is crazy. The things that should have been done that haven't been done, and I get it. But at the same time, seriously, I even do it sometimes. I record myself and play it back and see if it makes sense what I'm saying, because sometimes people don't realize what they're even saying. Okay, realize what you're saying sometimes, because the impact of words are very powerful. Words are very powerful. They say sticks and stones can break your bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie. Okay, because you can heal from pain, you cannot heal from words. Sometimes things that can stick in your mind. When someone says something hurtful to you, it can stick with you forever. Okay,
can I say this really quick? Because, excuse me, Flower Bomb is saying people are judging Teresa on so many levels and they're not in their shoes. Well, guess what, Flower? People need to realize this. Every negative seed and bit of confusion, frustration, and turmoil that they sown into this lady's life, they're going to reap it back 100-fold plus. They sown the wind. Now they get to reap the whirlwind in their own lives. That's what happens when you do things like that. Sowing and reaping is real.
There's always calm before the storm. There's always a calm before the storm as well.
Yeah, there's a calm before the storm. Yeah. They get to reap that back.
Yeah.
JM said he said
they sold it, they get to reap it back.
Y'all ladies, JM said he goes, or she maybe. She was drugged first, I believe. The freezer was already on. That chair was on the door so that she couldn't get out. Then they turned the freezer off. That's why her hair was stiff and the crunchy texture.
Interesting.
Right.
It's an interesting theory. The only thing that makes me think about it is that I always think about her hair, like what she went through, and then was it wet? I mean, like it seems like it was wet to me, and what would be the purpose of it being wet? Like the rest of her body doesn't look like that. You know what I mean? Like
and you can see on her jacket as well the line of the wetness where it ends.
Yeah, like it's not.
There's a diagonal line on her back of her jacket.
And didn't Mama Teresa ask why they cut her hair? Didn't she ask what they cut their bang for?
Yeah, and the other thing, because her hair was long.
What they was cutting up in that girl hair for? What was they cutting? Because it was a sew-in. What was they cutting?
I had a theory.
Nifa has just hit the nail on the head. She said, Crown Plaza let underage kids smoke weed, drink, and who knows what else in their hotel. Yes, they are responsible, 100%. And that is what I'm talking about. It's all those other things that if they didn't let happen, this might not have happened. If they'd have kicked them out because they were smoking, would she be found in a freezer? You know, it's all those things that you think about. There's so much, but I completely agree with that statement.
Well, there's rules there so that things don't get this bad and extreme. You know, had they just been like, no, there's too many people in here, like we can't allow that. Like if you're gonna have a party, you have to book a convention suite, blah, blah, blah. She'd be alive. Totally. She'd be alive.
But Vanessa is asking this question. There's thousands of people saying if this was a cover-up, what can be done for the FBI to reopen this case and take it over? One, they're going to go the legal way. And her attorneys, I'm sure, are going to fight this to the bitter end. But the attorney general in the state of Illinois could have usurped the authority of Rosemont and had the case reopened. Yeah, I would have went in and slapped a case on their heads for corruption and kindly took the case out of their hands and let them take me to court and sue me. I would say, take me to court and sue me. But you won't be doing this case. Take me to court and sue me. I have too many documents, and she does. She have a host of documents getting Rosemont for corruption at the corruption at the corruption. I would have took it out of their hands and said, take me to court, sue me. You won't be investigating. I'm getting this case reopened, and had the FBI come on up in there. Yeah.
And like I said, I have the document which I'll show you guys in a video, where it states all the reasons for why the FBI can open this case, all the reasons that they can have to open this case. And for me, that list says they should have opened this case. They should have reopened this case. Just the fact that there were, it was a suspicious death and that there were gang members involved. That alone could have opened this case. There's so much.
Security guard left the country.
Yeah.
Right.
Left the country.
Did. Right.
There's so much that could have reopened this case.
Right. And the attorney general is the person of the state is a person who directly could have had this case reopened.
Well,
that's her job. That's her job.
You let these gang members, like, I mean, and I hate to say it like that, whatever, because some of them may have not been and just been like buddies or whatever, but like they let these kids basically dictate what information they were going to give them. Like they didn't like
exactly.
It took them a while to talk to people. And first of all, it's a murder. You re-interview suspects more than one time. You interview them once, you get their phones, right? And then you get that information, and then you interview them again. A lot of times you just do it several times. Right, you record it. Come on. Like
they should have recorded it. They should have recorded everything. That's easier than even taking notes. Press a button. What was the problem with that? Pressing a button. Like they should have recorded it. Simple. This is why I keep saying simple, because there's so many simple things they could have done that would have eliminated them from the case also, and they wouldn't have been looked at as corrupt if they'd have done all these things. If there was nothing wrong with, and it was
Monifo, she was interviewed one time? That's it. One time she gave a statement. She might possibly be the last person to see Kanika alive that we know.
No, the hotel was the last person to see her.
But as far as like just in general, like you know what I mean, just in general, like because she says by her own admission, she says that I took her out of the room. You interview that girl one time, that's it. That's it. Like in a murder investigation, you interview witnesses and possible like suspects 2-3 times to see if their story changes.
Yes,
they did. The first detective kept going back to the food and assisted beverage make because that's what we suspected.
3 times. Yeah.
That's what we suspected.
And twice to the security guard.
And then that shit was shut down.
By who? I agree with Alan in the comment section. The chief shut that down and moved him on and brought these other jokers up in here.
Mm-hmm. You all can see it. You all can see it. You all see. Look at all the people that can see something is not right.
Because it makes no sense for them to be looking for her all that time, and then he go run his butt up in the kitchen and be like, "Oh, she was in here." Stop lying. You already knew she was in here.
And it surprises me sometimes when I read my comment section and the amount of people that say things that I believe but I haven't said. So we're all on the same page. So if we're all seeing the same thing, we're not even saying it.
Dude, Doughboy said it.
Right.
They interviewed them instead of interrogated them. Backwards as hell. It was as if the party goers and the staff dictated
the staff dictated because he didn't ask them. They didn't ask them too much of nothing.
Nothing.
Everybody that was working should have been questioned.
When have you ever heard of this? Where the beverage manager says to the cops, he goes, I'm scared. I think that family is gang related and I don't want them to know that I found the body first. Can you not put that in there and tell anybody? Are you kidding me? What? One, how would you know that?
Right.
Two, like if you've done nothing wrong, then okay, fine. It's a really messed up, unfortunate event that you found a dead body. Yes, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what that's like. It's probably awful.
Rita Ray said, has anyone watched my video of cops in the kitchen? I will watch that after when we come off, because I'm coming off soon. Because it's 10 to 2 in the morning here. So I'm up, I'm working hard. Okay, this is what I'm saying. I'm dedicated. And I will watch that. I personally will watch that.
I believe you, Lisa Marie. If they exhume her body, they're gonna find multiple injuries. Yes, that's true. That's something I agree with you on right there. I concur with you on that, Lisa Marie.
I just want everybody to stay vigilant and to just like understand that, you know, we said this in the beginning.
In September, it's a protest, and everybody can get off the internet and put their feet in the street.
Right.
Butts out the seat, feet in the street.
We'll put out information about that for sure. And, you know, this is one of those things where don't look at this as a closed case, because in your gut, in your heart, if you're a human that loves somebody, this is a cold case. And this is a solvable case. And a lot of times I've watched, you know, I'm obsessed with probably like everybody else, investigation, discovery and stuff, that like, I watched this one show called Cold Justice, where like this woman does nothing but like go and open up and reinvestigate cold cases. And she even admits, she's a district attorney, a real famous one. She says a lot of times cold cases are my favorite ones to try, because a lot of times they're circumstantial. And the jury has to make a verdict, you know what I mean? So a lot of times it's not necessarily the DNA, because we know that some of that evidence might be tainted. It could very well be possibly. We know forensically they did their best to corrupt that evidence, but just any witness accounts. Definitely autopsy results again, you know, to do another one of those. Those are things that can solve a case and bring this young lady justice. And we have to keep talking about this and keep her name relevant and be peaceful and be a good example, you know?
I'm going to address this right here. I got to cut in on right here. Jumping Bunny, and this is Kerenszharris. I'm talking directly to you. I don't see a picture or fake, but I'm not a person that hide. I have no reason to hide or cover up. Jumping Bunny, you said this case ain't gonna get solved. All it's doing is making you YouTubers cash. No, see, let me tell you something. My channel is non-monetized, and it will not be monetized as long as I'm fighting for Justice J4K. But I just didn't start doing this when she passed away. I've been about justice and social actions all of my life. So no, I'm not profiting, and nor will I take a dime in the name of justice.
And you don't understand.
Hold on, and it's supposed to be free.
You don't understand what people have been through either, for why they might feel that they need to start trying to change this world. It's a very simple-minded thing to say, especially when you haven't done your research, when there's plenty of other YouTubers out there that are doing this for cash.
Right.
For you to say that to people that work hard for no reason, spend hours.
Right.
Okay? Hours.
You can clearly see.
Okay?
You can clearly see.
Don't come and say things like that when you have not done your research. Okay? The amount of people that comment on my videos after 2 minutes on a 10-minute video. Your opinion is not valid after 2 minutes. The amount of people that hate on my channel and thumbs my videos down after a minute and the video's 10 minutes. Why are you sub to my channel and you don't want to know what I've got to say?
Thank you, Miss
Why
Lisa.
are you sub to me for that? Why are you sub to just put a thumbs down?
Come on,
you need to
put
get
your
a
weight
life.
on it, Pain Truth. Put your weight on it. Put your weight on it.
You need to get a life, and you need to put your energy into something else.
Put your weight on it. Put some pressure on it.
I get all my thumbs down within like 20 minutes, and then no more, and one every now and then, because you're all sub to my channel. Unsub to my channel if you do not want to hear what I have to say. You know, you're sad individuals.
You're right.
You
like,
are so sad. Why do you do it? Do you not have a life? If I don't want to, if I watch a video and I don't agree with what they're saying, do you know what I do? I don't watch.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'll go pet my cat. I'll go make us some orange juice. You're not like, well, I don't like the sound of that.
And Miss Lisa is bringing up
I've got a life. I can't be bothered with that. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna let Pain Truth finish, but Miss Lisa is made a valid point. Emmett Till case reopened after 36 years. Yes, his case has been reopened after 36 years.
Dude, I used that in an
John F.
argument the other day.
Case was opened after 50 years. Cases do get reopened. Cases do get solved, and we will get justice because if we don't get it, we shutting it down.
Yeah.
All the way down. But for the YouTube trolls or the YouTube strolls or whatever you want to call yourself, you can get your butt in the street, feet
what it boils
on
down
the
to
ground
too,
in
like
September.
YouTube is
Hold
a
on,
huge
no. They can get their behinds in the state of Illinois in September and help do some marching and protesting.
They're not, Karen. The
And-
thing is, YouTube is a huge place, and there's a lot of places you could go and enjoy it. But you're a really weird person if you spend your time talking crap about a dead child or being negative about people wanting to
Just find something else to do.
Yeah, like that's
Do some
just weird.
gardening or
YouTube,
something. Find something else to do. You know, like why do something that's going to make you feel bad as well? Why? And there's no way that people who get angry like that, for people having their opinion, trying to fight for justice, if you're going to be angry at someone for doing that, what's wrong with your life? Why are you so angry? All you have to do is switch off and watch something else. For you to put your energy into it, what is the purpose? If there's no purpose, I advise you not to do it.
September the 10th, we will be in the state of Illinois with Gina Kidd helping shut it down. Because like I said, we're not just sitting up here talking, just to be talking about we want justice. We're not sitting up here collecting any monies in the name of justice. We're not sitting up here collecting any money for information that's free, that was made available due to the Freedom of Information Act that the Chicago Tribune submitted paperwork. So this information could be free to the public. It's free. It's free information. We're not making any monies off of free information. This information, I will repeat it again, is free due to the Freedom of Information Act for the public to go through. Yeah. We're not making monies off that. First of all, we would never make money off of justice. Justice should be fought for. We're not doing that. And you can check our channels to see that they are not monetized. That's why I get to play the music that I play. My channel is not monetized.
I heard that.
More freedom. But I'm going to end this on the fact that this case would not just reopen like that. People are like, oh, her mum's not doing anything. You don't know what her mum's doing. Oh, it would have been open by now. No, it wouldn't. If you know about these things, and these are the type of things that you actually do, you actually are interested in before the Kenneka Jenkins, you know it can take years and years to reopen a case. There are some cases that reopen on people that have already passed away in jail because they were innocent.
Right.
There are cases like that. You need to realize how long it takes to reopen a case. But at the same time, all we need to do is team up. We have power in numbers, and we can reopen this case with the right information and the right passion towards it. We don't need all of these arguments and these bickering. It doesn't solve nothing. Put that into do something else. Put that energy into something positive. Change how you perceive people and their opinions.
Okay? Right, and no, everybody is not profiting in the name of justice.
Exactly.
We don't roll that way.
Do it. Want it to be part of your spirit to do this. You will know if it's part of you to do this, and that way you know it's your purpose and that you need to step up. And like Kerenszharris said, turn up in September. And even if you're someone that's just advertising the event and giving positivity and saying turn up and give, like she said, bottles of water out. You know, just your advertisement. You don't have to, even if you can't be there, you can do little bits and pieces that will help reopen this case. It's all teamwork and it's power in numbers.
Write the Attorney General, let me tell you what you do, right there. Continue to submit those letters to the Attorney General, continue to submit those letters to the lawmakers, continue to stay in their face and apply pressure, continue to protest. Continue to help people in the state of Illinois. Continue to pray. It's a lot of things you can do to help.
Yes, Lifa. You're always welcome on my panel. You did really great when you was on Kerenszharris Paris panel. And I will be having, like I was chatting with my teammates, I'm going to do a little thing on, I think I might be doing it on a Thursday or Friday evening, probably a Thursday evening, where we can have discussions about things and expose just random topics, talk about it and see if we can make positive change, what we can do to change certain things. But the main thing is for us to discuss it and realize we are all human, that we all have similar things in common, and that we can take opinions that are not the same and still get on. I think it's really important just to have that skill of listening, taking it in, analysing what they've said, and then giving it an opinion that is relevant and makes sense and could help influence them to maybe change their mind.
I think that's why our team is so strong, is because we're all like, not to cut you off, babe, like, but that's why we all work so well together, is because of that fact. We don't always necessarily agree on everything, but we do agree on respecting each other and wanting the truth. And I love these chats. I'd love to have Rika on too, because she's got a lot of experiences that could be valuable and super smart. Like, I love hearing her talk. Like, she will tell you if you're wrong. Like, she's just, and have a nice way of doing it. But like, I feel really like it's a hard thing to talk about sometimes, this case, because it does hit me heavy, but I really do have faith. Like, I say it all the time, like, we really can get this young lady's case reopened. It's like, because the thing is, like, her case is still relevant and popular, you know, like, that's important, you know? So I appreciate everybody who covers the case respectfully, and, you know, everybody working together for the common good of getting this young lady's case reopened. She deserves that. And I would work hard for your daughter painting. I would do it for yours, Kerenszharris, in a heartbeat. Alicia, I mean, like, anybody's, like, that's just what you do, whether you believe in God, whatever. Like, that's just what you do, man. Like,
it's realizing you're a human being, that something that you could do. Why is it not a good feeling to help someone else? Why do people feel pleasure in pain? Why do people feel pleasure in hurting someone else's cause, purpose, life? Why is that a pleasure? It is much more pleasurable to go to Rosemont in September and protest and try and you will get a better high from that than any hate-filled like event that you could ever perceive on YouTube. Okay, you will get more of a high from that, and you will feel good within yourself as a human being. We are human, okay?
Yeah. You will get an adrenaline rush when you fighting for justice. It's like an adrenaline rush. It's your body.
I've gotten excited from watching videos of you protesting, Kerenszharris. Like, seriously, but I can't wait to do that. Like, you know, like, what a cool feeling. And that's like, here's the thing, like, people, like, you talk about psyops and stuff like that. Like, there are real crazy stuff in the world.
When I protest now, I get kind of militant when I protest. I go into the zone.
It's so important, but that's you. That's the beauty of you, that you care that much, that you're willing to sacrifice your time, your freedom, in fact, to a cause, because you get it, even though it might not affect you immediately right now, directly in the center. You get the bigger picture of the ripple effect that it does affect you. Because if one cop gets away with corruption, they all do.
They all do. They all do. Right.
So, man, fuck that. Sorry, my language. I ain't having that, man. If I'm gonna be here, like, I'm gonna have a good time doing good things. It does feel good, man. So I appreciated this, ladies. I really did, and thank you to everybody in the chat.
Great, and thank you all for coming and listening and supporting, and because we are about the truth. We are about the truth. We are about honesty, and we are trying to make a physical change. This isn't just chit chat. We're actually trying to make a change and trying to get justice it's like a domino effect. It can change so much for someone else. This could save someone's life.
Yeah.
Okay. So please understand that we are here for the truth.
And people need, and I've got to give Pain Truth kudos, because she's coming from the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Over here in September to put her feet on the ground. So if you in America and you have profited off this case in any form or fashion, we're going to need you to put your feet on the ground in September. Not being funny. But come on out.
Yeah, let's all do it. I said I would put my money where my mouth is. I'll sell some paintings. You know what I mean? Like, let's all get together and collaborate and work together, you know, figure out buses, figure out, you know, different way, you know, lodging, stuff like that. Where we're going to go.
We'll strategize later, but we're gonna need these Americanos who's been playing all these videos to come on, be about their life.
Like,
Put their money where their mouth is. How about that?
My group talks about Kanika every day in our hangouts. Like every day we discuss this case on multiple levels beyond just like friendship. Like it's not, you know, like we dedicate our time because this matters to us, just like you guys do. So it's really important that we're here and that, I mean, people dedicated like 3 hours damn near to listen to us talk about this case.
That's
and
why
hear
I'm
your
so
opinion.
impressed. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so
and
much.
I know that everybody that watches is here because they want to hear the truth.
Totally.
I personally will not put anything out unless it is the truth. If I ever put in my video that I found who killed Kanika, best believe that you'll see their face and you'll see them do it. I'm not going to put nothing in my videos that isn't in there. Okay, there's no clickbait. There's none of that. This is about truth. This is about taking it to court and getting it reopened. Okay.
Right. She'll do it that way, but best believe it's gonna be all over the internet.
Yes.
If I get it. Because of the nature of what I do. It's gonna be all over.
Okay.
Oh yeah, if we get anything like that, like then you'll see the real anonymous. Like then the real anonymous will get involved with this.
Over the internet.
Hey.
Just putting that out there.
Okay.
All over the internet. No shade.
Yes, the real.
I think it'll happen.
Okay.
I'm gonna call my dream.
That one there.
We gonna make that happen. Yeah, we'll leave it there.
But thank you all for coming. Thank you. We will be doing this more often. I know Kerenszharris is gonna have the next live, so pay attention to her channel. Go and watch her channel. Go and see what video she's putting up. She is very good at explaining the technical side of the surveillance footage. She has the professional knowledge to tell you what is going on. So please watch her. Margot knows how to talk her ass off and tell you her opinion and tell you how it is straight up off the bat. And that's what I love about Margot, because I'm similar to that. It comes out. What's in my head, it comes out, and that's it. What you see is what you
we love A.M, who was
will be here on the next live.
She's so graceful and calm. I love her.
She does her analysis properly when she speaks.
Very thorough.
Knows what she talks about because she's thorough, and that's why we are together. Yeah, but thank you so much for watching, and yes, please go over the Kerenszharris channel and check out some of her videos. They're very, very informative. But yeah, thank you once again. Thank you all.
All right, ladies. Good night.